The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the chick. Wow. Woke up in the morning, pushed down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on his own 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grip. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip. It's a bad bitch on the elevator, I'ma let her in. Let your hater be a motivator, I can't let you win. Evil genius, human calculator, stack it by the 10. Put the Lambo on the elevator, bring it to the den. Put the Mustang by the balcony, I'm fly like Peter Pan. I'm so glad they turned their back on me, cause we weren't really friends. And it ain't even 10, and I woke up on a 10. And I don't need no pen, now I don't need no pad. The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the chick. Woke up in the morning, bust down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on his own 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grits. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip. Gotta keep them snipers with me, dawg. I got more enemies than 50, dawg. He popped a burger, said he nodding off. On high alert, they just might pop it off. 11 o'clock, she popped the nutter off. That bitch so bougie, yeah, she bad enough. That bitch so thick, you know she lit enough. It's Gucci, man, you know it's bricks involved. The sun ain't even up yet, I'm thinking about the chick. Woke up in the morning, bust down me a brick. Gave Metro $1 million, told him not to quit. He still on his own 6, Gucci really rich. Put the keyboard in the kitchen, fuck some amazing grits. Jimmy Hitchman with the chip, man, I sold a lot of shit. Heard I kept them man allegedly, but I didn't bust it. The way they mixing up the medicine, I might just grow some drip.
Today, we're going to talk about the epic slate of games on Black Friday, weekend NFL and college football winners, and of course, the squad ride. This is Behind the Lines.
But Rodgers is a fucking fossil. This team's in shambles. The Steelers are a wagon at home. It's going to be a gross fucking game. And I'm going right back to fading the Jets.
And once again, the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, when the lights are bright, do not show up and they fall. Their receivers are banged up. The ones out there couldn't catch shit. Their defense is taking a step back. This 49ers team is a fucking joke. And I'm looking at you, Kyle Shanahan. You're supposed to be that guy.
In the postseason for the first time in his career, and they find a way to fucking blow it. Look, we should have known the Yankees bullpen was going to come back and bite them in the ass at some point. They've been a little bit too good. But my goodness, did we think it was going to be Big Christmas?
What's going on, chat? Happy BTL Friday, the best BTL of the week, episode 593 piece. As always, hold the fry, joined by your two hosts, Krabs and Jovan, presented by Bookit Sports. If you're not tracking your bets on Bookit, what are you doing? Start tracking your bets on Bookit today. I promise you're going to keep using it. It's fire, the best bet tracking app out there by far. Okay? Jovan, happy Friday. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving, my man. Are you feeling full, rested up, and ready to roll and find some winners for today?
Full, yes, for sure.
Good.
Not full enough to be fat, happy, and complacent though. You know, hold
Good.
the fry, hold the turkey. We got shit to do for today and this weekend.
Yes. You don't want to be too full, right? You don't want to get fat, happy, complacent. Before we dive in, let me ask you, what's your favorite Thanksgiving foods? Favorite sides? Maybe it's the fucking turkey. I don't know. Maybe it's the gravy. I don't give a hoot. What would you say is your number one draft pick on Thanksgiving?
Let's say I'm a sides guy. Turkey's great, but what makes the plate is some sides. If somebody whips up some nice stuffing, sucker for it.
Sure.
Sucker for it.
Sure. Even the box stuffing's good. I'll say
it's good.
The stovetop, it's good.
If you can do it homemade, like with homemade stuffing, it's definitely better than the box stuffing, but it passes. Stuffing and greens though have to be on the plate.
100%. You got to have a vegetable, at least one on a Thursday. I was going to say stuffing as well, but I'll pivot. How about some good old buttery mashed potatoes? They hit different on Thanksgiving. They do. It's all sides. It's got to be all sides. And I see chat talking about some sides right now, talking about Wake Forest. I've seen like 5 chats right now saying, Krabs, you're on Wake Forest. We'll talk about it here in a moment. Okay, we'll get to it. Why don't we go over the W recap / L recaps from the last couple of days? Let's hop into it. Take a peep at the Tuesday squad ride. Ooh, brutal.
Hand up. Never the Cougs.
Brutal. Never the Cougs. Believe that one went into OT. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. Tough. Godsend, those sound fire, bro. Brussels with truffle. Jeesh.
Ooh. Mess with Brussels.
Yeah, that might be the move. What about the Tuesday Sharp Report? Let's take a peep at that. What the fuck? Also, did Wade Taylor not go more than? Are you kidding me?
I think he hooked.
That was a hook? I bet it was. I mean, just terrible day. Terrible day. Boise State lost outright. Spartans lost outright. Texas A&M blew a huge lead against Oregon. I know this is in the past, but Jesus Christ. 0 for 5? Brutal. C-Dot, what's up? Jovan?
That's why we got today.
Yeah, we got to bounce back today, man. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. We have a loaded slate. We got plenty of sports, plenty of opportunities to get those coins back. Okay, 2 words, chat. Bounce back season. Plain and simple. All right. What about the Wednesday Sharp Report from Jovan? Oh, he bounced back already. Sure. Good. 4 for 5.
You take those?
Fuck Cal State Northridge, man. Always sharp.
Yeah.
Doesn't always respect coins.
They weren't even sharp. That was me trying to bet against the little, like all the short home or short neutral court favorites that are sharp have just been losing. That was just me trying to bet against one with the goats. Didn't work. But everything else did, which is good.
Chat, how'd you guys do the last couple of days? You survive, you tread water, you make some coins on the NFL slate last night. Brutal games last night, man. Or yesterday, throughout the day. Not the most exciting, although the Bears made it close. Thought they're going to pull off that game, maybe even win outright. They did not. Thought it would be cool to sprinkle on all the MLs yesterday. That didn't work. But I did make some coins, at least taking some spreads, taking the under in that late night game yesterday. W 2-point conversion. W hook. We take that. All right, so solid day yesterday. And we'll move, we'll groove, we'll get in some plays, some winners for today. Enough talking about the past. Why don't we go ahead and hop in to the Sharp Report for today and go over some winners, gents. And yes, the college basketball plays yesterday were free. If you tailed Illinois, they got the job done. Hope you did. If you tailed Santa Clara, they got the job done. Sorry to the Frogs for that one.
Shit program. Really bad program out there.
Hey, they played this afternoon. We can talk about it.
Yeah.
We will. Okay. For now, let's go ahead and talk about the Sharp Report plays. All right, I'll get it started out with a great play close to home for me here. George Mason on the ML in college basketball. Guys, a lot of great CBB games on today. All right, don't let them get swept. And this is one of the more low-key games, but I can't resist seeing George Mason, a team that I've had my eye on for the last year and a half or so. I like their young coach. I like their young pieces. And JMU, we know their coach left last year, took a couple of their best players. He was a great fucking coach. They still have a good team left over. Don't get me wrong. And JMU is just not the team you want to really be betting on consistently or fading consistently. Excuse me. They cover in every sport, plain and simple, no matter the situation, no matter the coach. But in Harrisonburg at JMU today, you're telling me after Thanksgiving, George Mason, the Patriots, are favorites on the Reds against JMU. This one caught my eye. I'll take my chances with the Patriots on the road as favorites who are catching minimal steam up from -1 to -1.5, -2 some places. I'll roll the dice with who I think is a better younger coach at George Mason. I think they have a better roster right now too, and they're favorites on the road for a reason.
Yeah, I'm in on that. George Mason goated.
I think JMU, was it last year or was it 2 years ago where they literally didn't lose a game at home? They were like one of the best teams at home in college basketball. It might have been last year.
It was last year.
Or at least they started out the season that way. Seeing George Mason as a favorite at JMU down the street, kind of weird.
Pretty weird.
Yeah, 100%. Adam says his favorite play is Liberty -2.5. Adam, we're going to have to talk about that, but not right now. For now, we're going to go to Javon's plays, see what he's cooking up today. How about a team total over for Texas Tech?
Yeah.
Sure.
I love my my Big 12 non-conference games because all the teams pretty much have the same strategy. They put like a game or two in between massive trips or massive games where they really want to like pick up the tempo. They want to run. Baylor does that all the time. TCU does that all the time. Texas does that all the time. Texas Tech also does that all the time. Now they're playing Northern Colorado, who, first of all, I mean, their tallest player is 6'9". They're not the biggest team. They're not the most physical team, and you can do literally whatever you want to in the paint versus them. which is why, I mean, they played a game against Prairie View. That was their last D1 game. It was 114-98. Prairie View A&M had 60 points in the paint, which is absurd.
Bro.
So, like, when talking about Texas Tech, they were honestly pretty disappointing, I would say, in their last couple games, like when they played Syracuse. And then they lost to St. Joseph's. So, like, both of those, St. Joe's kind of slowed them down a little bit. Their offense was stagnant in the half court. Syracuse sped them up, and they honestly still weren't that good in transition when they played fast. Now they're going to have a team that is going to give them little to no resistance in the paint. So, like, other than Chance McMillan, they really don't have a shooter. Like, at every single position, they're going to have a size advantage, and they're going to get to the paint at will. So, like, this is the game that they're coming back from. I forget where that tournament was, where they played Q's and St. Joe's, but they're coming back from that before they do the Big East Big 12 challenge. DePaul's not that big of a challenge, but they are undefeated to this point. They probably will be by this game. But then they go play Texas Tech. So, like, this game is like the only real sleeper game where I think they really want to pick up the pace and get their offense together. So, taking team total.
Okay. The total is up in this game, which is a great sign, up from 150.5 to 154. We know Northern Colorado, they can keep up a little bit offensively. They can put up some points, but they don't play a lick of defense. They're small. Texas Tech should have a field day today and hopefully eclipse 90 points with these. Get it done. All right? You're going to have to sell me on this play. You want to get back to the Spartans after 2 weeks of fucking us, huh?
Yeah. They didn't come through as dogs, but now they have their chance to come through as favorites because Stanford, I mean, not only are they bad, but they should have won that game against Cal, as much as I hate to say it. That was absolutely ridiculous. They had every chance to win that game. I think they were up like 21-3 or whatever it was, and then ended up losing as 15-point dogs, covered pretty comfortably. But that was weird. That was one of those weird rivalry games where, like, I kind of had the gut feeling that something odd was going to happen in that game, and it did. Glad that Cal came out on top of it at the end, but now their season's kind of cooked because after Stanford Cal, you get this weird game where you're going to San Jose State to play Coach Ken. San Jose State badly needs a bounce back, and not that it wasn't their fault like last week, but it was a really tough situation with the weather, like the blocked punt, or not, but the punt like went over the guy's head and into the end zone, kind of set everything off. The quarterback couldn't throw in the rain. I've never seen it rain that hard in San Jose or California, period. It was an odd game, really odd game. Now they're 3-point favorites against Stanford, which, even though it's Stanford and they've been pretty bad as a power school, it's still odd to see that as just looking at San Jose State versus Stanford. And I think it's for a reason. I think this is where you get the bounce back. The weather has never been clearer in San Jose. Made sure to check before this. So they're going to be slinging rock because Cal, even when they were down and even when they were struggling, they were not shy to take shots downfield. And they were guarding the perimeter wide receivers pretty well, kind of funneling everything towards the slot, which I don't know if that was just a Cal thing or if that's a Stanford pretty much every time defense thing. But if you're going to funnel towards the slot, you know who plays the slot?
Nick Nash.
Nick Nash.
Sure.
So Megatron's going to be Megatron. It's a Megatron versus Megatron sneakily in this game.
Yeah. AO Manor. Sure. Yeah. Megatron versus AJ Brown. We got a lot of sub banks coming in here too, Jovan. Let me catch up here real quick. Hella subbies coming in. Prendy coming in. Let's fucking go. Prendy and Snowman Sports coming in with a raid. W Snowman Sports. We appreciate you, my man. Heavy Bets coming in, dropping a resub for 34 months. We got a Hype Train moving a groove, and love to see that. Reeve Trees coming in, resubbing for 27 months. We got Sock Station coming in, resubbing for 8 months with Prime. Guys, remember, you get a free subby with Prime to use every year. So if you haven't cashed that in, log into your Amazon Prime account and sub up on Twitch at Bookit Sports. Get rid of those ads. Okay? Ian228 coming in, resubbing for 26 months. Let's go, Ian. Sure we can. First time chatter coming in. Z-Bass saying, have you gone over NFL? Nope, not yet. We will. We'll talk about this Chiefs game here in a little bit, and then we'll go over the NFL plays we like in college football for the weekend towards the middle and end of the show. Okay, so stick with us. Drop a follow if you haven't already, my man. W first time chatter. Love it. Most of the games start in 2 hours. Lock in chat. You're right, Tiny Diego. That's a good point. We got a lot of games starting up here soon, so let's keep moving and grooving. Jovan, definitely down to take Nick Nash on Prize Picks, and I think you convinced me to back San Jose State one more time against a Stanford team that has nothing to play for. Sure. Let's see if Coach Ken can lock in and finish the season strong. It's still a W season, whether they win or lose this game. For San Jose State, in my opinion, it's still a win. I know they started out great, kind of limped to the finish line here for Coach Ken and San Jose State, but let's see if they can finish on a high note and get a big-time win against a dead Stanford team. I'm in. All right, Gucci, swing it back around. Let me go over some more of these straight bets. Santa Clara. Speak of the devil. Talked about them yesterday coming through against TCU, I believe. I'm betting them again today. I'm going to take them again. I am obsessed with betting this Santa Clara team. I don't know what it is, but they have a great coach. They have the best roster probably they've ever had. They got off to a tough start this season with a couple bad losses, but they've won 2 of their last 3. They're starting to look a little bit better. They're coming off a big-time outright win against TCU, and we took them. And it's not like Washington has been bad so far this season. They've been winning games. They just really haven't been covering, and their strength of schedule, in my opinion, is very, very weak. I mean, their best opponent they just played was Colorado State, and they've taken a significant step back this season as well. Besides that, they really haven't played anybody yet. Santa Clara has a much harder strength of schedule so far this season, and I was impressed how they played not only against TCU in that last game, but against Riverside and even against Stanford in a game they should have won. They collapsed late, not expecting that to happen again. I think they got their jitters and their bad L's out of the way. I still love this Broncos team. I'm going to love them in March as well once they get there. This is a team of destiny. They're stacked. They have an NBA player on their team as well with Abdul Ball. And I'm going to back Santa Clara, flipping from +1.5 to -1.5 against Washington tonight.
I can respect that. I'm a little concerned of who's going to be guarding great, but
yeah,
maybe it's not the end all be all, because I think who was it? Maybe Reynaud had like the greatest game of his career against them. And I know he's kind of a different beast, but a little small. It's just a tad.
It's going to be Tilly on him.
Yeah.
See how that goes. We know Tilly's a little bit more skilled offensively. We'll see if he can slow down great. Hopefully not get in foul trouble. It's not really like great has been that great. He's a little bit out of shape coming into the season. I mean, he's the best player by far. Hopefully our guy Tilly
almost have a triple-double yesterday.
Yeah, and we have taken him a couple times on Prize Picks. He's come through. He's had a pretty good season. But Tilly has a lot of experience down in the paint. Let's hope he can hold on and stay out of foul trouble. If he can, I like Santa Clara's chances tonight.
Could be huge.
Or this afternoon. All right. And then, Jovan, you might not have been expecting this one. Maybe you were at this point. Look, I've thrown the Brad Cornelison hate out the window at this point. I got enough problems at VT right now hating on those coordinators and coaches. So I've moved on from hating on Sam Houston. I'll be rooting for them today. The Bearcats with a K against a fraudulent Liberty team, in my opinion. Has anybody watched a Liberty game this season? I know the majority of you guys probably haven't. I mean, they have such an easy schedule. They're in a very, very bad conference. And this game is very important. I think whoever wins this Liberty-Sam Houston game is probably playing Jack State in the conference championship, depending on what they do today in their game. But Liberty this season has not impressed me a ton. I know they finished the season strong with 3 straight wins in a row. I know they have a pretty solid football program right now. Don't get me wrong. And they have Caden Salter. But Caden Salter has not looked that sharp this season. I think he's taken a step back, or at least hasn't improved. And Sam Houston's coming in off a bad loss to Jacksonville State that just ran the ball down their fucking throats in that game. They gave up like 300 yards on the ground in that game, Jovan. Their worst game by far defending the run. Typically, though, this Sam Houston defense is good at stopping the run. So against a Liberty team that also likes to run the ball a lot, Jovan, I think they bounce back and their run defense shows up and they win them a ball game tonight and send the Bearcats to a conference championship. But I'll take the +2.5. That's literally my favorite bet to take in football. You guys know that by now. I'll take Sam Houston with the points in a game that means a ton, and they have not covered a game in almost 2 months. Sam Houston, after a great start to the season, covering and winning, they've been kind of lacking at the end of the season. Liberty finishing strong, but I do still think this Liberty team is kind of fraudulent, and Sam Houston, on paper, you might not think it, but I think they're just as talented. And Caden Salter is kind of taking a step back. I'll back the Bearcats here in a must-win game to keep their postseason hopes alive. Okay?
Like that. Down for that.
What do you guys think, chat? We got Z Brownlee coming in, resubbing. Let's fucking go, Z Brownlee. Hype train level 2 the day after Thanksgiving. And by the way, very thankful for all you guys, even the people who chirp in the chat. Still thankful for you. Okay, without you guys, we would not be up here doing shit. Okay, so thank you. I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Dan's bets as well coming in, resubbing. Thoughts on the Clippers +6 today? Minnesota locker room is gone. Didn't think we'd pivot to NBA this early, but you did resub, my man. You deserve a response. Jovan, thoughts on Clippers +6 against a defeated Minnesota team?
Well, so you know what the Clippers +6 is, pretty much, Krabs? It is the
squarest bet of all time?
Well, kind of, but I was comparing it to taking Houston after Auburn had the whole locker room playing situation, because there wasn't like a specified instance, but It's come out in the last, couple of days, some issues they've been having in the locker room, the T-Wolves. So it's pretty much that bet. If you want to take the T-Wolves today, it's just like you take an Auburn.
Kind of sounds like buying the bad news with the T-Wolves as 6-point favorites who have not been playing so great this season might be the play in this game after 4 straight losses. That kind of sounds like the move. Or maybe even Minnesota's a pretty good parlay pace. Respectfully, Dan's bets, you're the GOATs. We love the subs and the energy and the questions, but definitely cannot get behind the Clippers today. Okay? Cannot get behind them. All right? I'd rather take the under in that game or Minnesota. Definitely a good parlay
back
piece.
too. Clippers are getting their best player back today, surely.
Who, Zubac?
No, Norman Powell. Literally
Okay.
LeBron.
Okay. Yeah, fade the good news, buy the bad news with the T-Wolves, right?
Yeah,
Has to be
might
done.
have to get in now. Might have to get in.
Jovan, you got one more straight bet for the peeps.
I do. The over in the Avs Stars game. Which is a little later tonight. I was first just looking at this game because, for a couple different reasons. Everybody and their mother was on the Avs over against VGK in their last game, and that game didn't have a goal until I believe late in the second period. Ended up going 2-1. So it was an odd kind of defensive game that very obviously nobody was expecting. So on that side, you have that for the Avs. Then you have the Stars, who their last couple games on their little 3-game road stand was really odd. Just like they started off with a really good performance in Tampa, beating the Lightning 4-2 in that game. And then after that, they gave up 6 goals in a disaster to the Canes that they lost, and then they got smoked by the Blackhawks with DeSmith in that. So really bad performances. It's like now at home, I think they come back pretty fired up, and against this Avs team where they've been pretty streaky, I guess you can say, game to game. They either have the worst defensive performance you've seen on the ice or the best for stretches of games at a time. They're coming off of a game where they just had one of the better ones this season. So I think the Stars are going to come out pretty fired up at home. The Avs are going to come back, and it's going to be one of those games that kind of go band for band. A lot of offense in this one, unlike what happened in the last Avs game. But I feel like the Stars offense is going to want to come out hired up in this one. And when the Avs are playing from behind, the defense kind of goes to the wayside, and that's where you get the games where the Avs have 12-plus goals in them. So I feel like this is one of those games.
Okay. I could definitely get down with it. The juice on the total flipped from minus 115-ish to the under to now minus 115-ish to the over at the same number of 6.5. So I definitely can get down with that. And Colorado is coming in off of only scoring 2 goals each in their last 2 games. So 4 goals combined there. Dallas coming in off of an over, but it wasn't because of them. They only put up 2 goals in their 6-2 loss in their last game. So definitely a pretty good spot for an over. And we know the Avs don't play like a defense. All they do is score. So let's hope they carry that energy into Dallas and put up some goals. I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in. Elliot said Avs over is usually free as ma. Yeah, I get that. But also a pretty good time to lock this in, it seems like, after Colorado hasn't been scoring much. And Dallas coming in off of only 2 goals in their game. So I think it's a pretty good spot.
Stars overs have not been free at all, especially in Dallas for whatever reason. They just don't score or somebody doesn't score. So I'm hoping that's not the case tonight.
Sure. All right. OMG, all the NHL games in 1.5 hours. Yeah, they got a bunch of games at 3 p.m. Eastern. They're almost all starting up at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you're trying to bet some hockey, make sure you guys check out the slates in the next hour and a half. Get those questions rolling in the chat. We got you. All right, I have a feeling we'll pivot back to NHL for a little bit down the line. Okay. W subbies, guys. Z Brownlee as well coming in with the subby. Appreciate you. Let's keep moving. Let's keep grooving, Jovan. Let's talk about some prize pick squares for today. I got a couple.
Oh, my.
Anybody else notice Aiden O'Connell having a half a rushing yard square up, and he hasn't had a rushing yard all season? I did. I noticed it, and I'm taking it. That's it. That's his sell job. Aiden O'Connell, a guy that has not run a single time this season. He's getting those legs loose and up and moving against the Chiefs. He might be running for his fucking life, to be honest, against that D-line. So Aiden O'Connell with a sketchy-ass square that's red as ma. The guy has not had a rushing yard all season. He's getting a rushing yard. He's breaking one loose. He's getting the legs loose. And he's cashing the square for us more than half a rush yards. And then Kinston Cooley, this kid's a stud. I talked about Liberty and that angle against Sam Houston today, where Liberty likes to run the ball. They give the ball to Cooley a ton, especially this season. when their QB, Caden Salter, has not been as sharp. They've kind of leaned on Keenshawn Cooley. He's been a beast for them on the ground. His fantasy score is not high enough today, in my opinion. He's also got a Goblin touchdown square. I don't think that cashes today. I like the under in the game. I obviously like Sam Houston. And like I talked about earlier, the main part of the sell job where Sam Houston has a good rush defense, but they got ripped apart last week for almost 300 yards in that game. The adjustments will be made. And what they're going to do if Sam Houston's fucking brains work and if their coach is actually a normal human being, they're going to say, all right, we're going to eliminate Cooley from this game. He's the best offensive player by far. And we're going to make Caden Salter beat us in the air. That's what I would do. And I think that's what we're going to see Sam Houston do today. Sell out against Keenshawn Cooley. I'm fading his less than fantasy score. He's not scoring. If he does, let's just pray he gets less than 100 yards on the ground. Okay?
Sure. I'm in. That rush yard is hilarious. I don't remember what week he was starting that I actually saw that. There was like a tweet that he like didn't even scramble out of the pocket in X number of pass attempts. It was a lot.
Okay.
So the fact that that's up is hilarious.
I mean, he legitimately doesn't have a carry this season.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Not even one. I know he's only played, 4 games?
Yeah.
Some of those he didn't play much.
Not
I don't care.
Is wild.
Still weird. And he's probably going to be running for his life today at some point.
He did
against
have,
that D-line.
For what it's worth, he had 4 rush attempts when he played the Chiefs last year.
What the?
But they did account for -4 yards.
Okay. Well, shit. Let's hope that's not the case today.
At least you know he's running.
Okay.
At least giving it
he was
a go.
trying.
Yeah.
Yep. Rushing touchdown loading. I swear to God, Chad, if they get a rushing touchdown, you guys better blow up my fucking account on X. And we're going nuts. We're going nuts.
When I played quarterback, the one time I ran out of the pocket, I broke my collarbone. So I wouldn't blame O'Connell. He wanted to stay in the pocket.
All right. Goots, I didn't know you played QB back in the day.
I did.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Quarterback Goots.
I was slinging it.
Be careful out there, Goots.
Yeah, I mean, it was rough.
Straight up.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I got one weird square more than for that Aiden O'Connell rush yard, and then one nasty fades in an angle that I love on the books there, kind of back in Sam Houston, that under their defense. I think the rush defense bounces back, and they at least limit Cooley's success on the ground. Okay? Please, 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 Sam Houston coaches, turn your fucking brains on today. For the love of God. Please turn your brains on today. And please make Caden Salter beat you in the air. He has not been good. Please.
Might need that.
Please. Goots Jackson. Okay. Let's move on to Jovan Squares. Let's take a peep at some of those. Nick Nash, -1,000. That was up here, as it should be. Good.
Yeah. The only time he's ever let us down is when he was playing in Hurricane Katrina. So I will erase that from my brain. I will erase that from my brain, and I'm going right back to it. Obviously, I like them in the game. I like points in the game. Stanford, like I said, they were actually really good at defending the outside of the field towards the sideline against Cal when I watched that game, and they really just invite you to throw everything in the slot. So if you're going to do that against Nick Nash, be my guest. It is his last game, and also the Bolitnikoff betting or voting is starting to go up this week, and I know he's trailing by a little bit. So national TV, of course, again, on a bigger stage with not as many games. They're going to feed him the ball, and this time they'll be able to do it because they're not in a literal monsoon. And it's against a bigger school with a shit defense too. So a lot of eyes.
A couple things real quick before we get to that second square that's looking great as well. Subby coming in from Easy Puck. Happy sub day. Let's go Easy Puck. Number 2. Yeah, we probably should not have taken Nick Nash, the former QB who does not wear gloves, as a receiver in a monsoon game last week, but we also did not know that weather was going to be that bad. Come on.
Yeah.
He bounces back this week.
Said he was going to rain, and then it was going to let up pretty soon into the game, and then it just never did.
Yeah, it didn't.
It got
worse.
It's crazy.
Yep. It got worse.
Yeah, so we're going right back to him today. Then Darian Williams, you'll probably have to hear me out on this one, Krabs, because it looks incredibly green, and not all the way through, but the last handful of games, it's pretty green. Again, that tournament they played.
Popular. Yep.
Yeah, it's a little popular too, but I'm just sticking with my read in the game that they have absolutely nobody in the paint. So I'm not quite sure how ugly this game is going to be. There's a reason why I took the team total and not just the over in the game, because I kind of think Northern Colorado can score, but I'm not all that confident in it. I wouldn't be shocked if this game ends up being closer than the spread indicates, and Northern Colorado kind of hangs around. But the only guy they have with any sort of size is going to be guarding JT Toppin. Other than that, they're going to be riding 4 guards essentially. And the biggest size difference, the biggest size advantage is whoever's going to line up at the 4 against Darion Williams. So, obviously, I think they're going to get to the rim a shit ton. Really, the 2 guys that do that easily the best in this team when they have the sort of offense is Williams and Toppin. So, the guy that I think has the best matchup, I'm going to take. Is it Green? Yeah, a little bit, but I don't really care because I think they're scoring 100.
All right. Well, it goes with your straight bet on the sharp report for Texas Tech and that team total over. Why not take Darion Williams? Look, it's college basketball. Sometimes you can square up and find success, right? It's a college square. You can square up and take a popular one every once in a while. Let's hope he comes through. Okay? Dubs. All right, chat. What do you guys think about those 2 squares? You got one college football. You got one college basketball. That's what I call a diversified portfolio. Love to see it. TNT lineup, not today. Tiny Diego, we're going to keep those to Tuesday. But people forget we have hit 3 of those in a row. Make sure you're at BTL on Tuesday. Get ready.
The last one actually has to go in the hall.
I mean, the greatest lineup of all time.
Literally the greatest.
The greatest lineup of all time. Yep. All right, chat. Let's get involved with some more plays for today. All right, we just went over the sharp reports. And as always, you'll be able to see the plays for the sharp reports on the bottom ticker here in a moment. Why don't we dive into Pickett Pro here and take a peep at the NFL game? We haven't talked about it. We didn't have any plays in it. Why don't we go to the NFL game and take a peep at Chiefs versus Raiders? Quick breakdown of this game. I mean, the spread's fat and for good reason. The Chiefs, I mean, they win, but they don't cover. So, at first glance, you'd probably want to take the Raiders, but Aiden O'Connell might be that bad. I mean, this guy is atrocious. I'm very concerned about the Raiders offense here. And if I was the Chiefs, I would probably sell out and double cover or even triple cover Brock Bowers and let anybody else beat me. And that Raiders team, I mean, what the heck do they have to play for at this point? They're on a crazy losing streak. They look terrible, and the Chiefs have not blown out a team since Nam. So you could even make an argument that maybe the contrarian play here is back in the Chiefs to win a game by 2 touchdowns for maybe the first time this season, or at least the first time in a long-ass time. I would not be betting that. I would probably take the under in this game if I had to take something, but I'm going to sit this one out. It's a nasty game.
Yeah, I also like the under in this game. I think that would be my play, if anything, too, which the first time I actually played this season was I had meat on tape for the over. So I think it's a little different of a situation now that you have both Aiden O'Connell and they're playing in Kansas City, and Kansas City's off of a shootout against the Panthers, which was crazy. I feel like this is their get back because Aiden O'Connell, not that he really did all that much to win that game last year against the Chiefs, but he was the starter when they beat the Chiefs. So maybe a little revenge angle for the Chiefs defense there. Not that they didn't do anything. They did anything terribly in that game because he didn't do shit. They had a pick 6 and they ran the ball a million times. But I feel like they're just going to clamp. It's going to be one of those games where maybe the Raiders stay in it. I wouldn't be shocked, but it's probably not coming with points.
All right. Chipper's asking about Jacoby Myers. I got him sitting on my bench in my fantasy league. Talked to Gutsy and Jovan about it a little bit earlier, but got a little bit of a predicament in one of my fantasy leagues. I've got obviously Jacoby Myers. I've got Cortland Sutton, and I've got Calvin Ridley, and I want to start 2 of them. And I think I'm going to start Calvin Ridley, and I think I'm going to start Cortland Sutton, although I like the under in that game. I think I'm going to bench Jacoby Myers with O'Connell under center. I think that's probably the move.
Yeah.
Need to win this week. We'll see how it goes. I'll keep you guys updated. All right. We could take a peep at some prize pick squares as well. You guys can see these splits up here on Pickett's. I mean, we got some coins on this game already, almost $3 million. I mean, definitely some more bets on the Raiders spread than I would have expected. I think that kind of holds to what I was saying, that maybe you can make an argument that the Chiefs on the spread could be sharp in this game. You won't see me betting it. No fucking chance. I don't want to root for the Chiefs, but if I had to take a side, I probably would play the Chiefs. Instead, I would just take the under in the game if I had to take something, but I'm not playing anything on the books in this game. Why don't we take a peep at prize picks and see if there's anything we like in this one? Okay. Chat's all asking about Travis Kelce.
Dude,
so why don't we take a peep at Travis Kelce
one more time, dude? The feed's about to be in shambles if he does
very
not get
popular
60 yards.
Popular play today. Yep. I'd probably recommend staying away. There's got to be a Chiefs square that you can back there today, huh? Is it D-Hop?
I don't know if it's D-Hop, dude.
It might not be D-Hop either. He's got a 9.5 fantasy score. That's not looking like he's doing shit. Well, thoughts on the Pacheco? Go ahead. Keep going.
I was going to say process of elimination. Obviously, I'm not taking Kelsey because he's the most popular play of all time. Pat Mahomes rush yard or pass yards is discounted. Hopkins, I feel like, is touchdown or bust, which is why I don't know what to do with him in fantasy. Pacheco is back, which I don't know how healthy he's going to be, and I don't know how much he's playing. So the split in the backfield is weird. So count me out of Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. That only leaves a couple options if we're talking Chiefs, and it's fake Travis Kelsey, Noah Gray, it's Juju, and it's Justin Watson.
I mean, yeah, you know what I want to take? I want to take Juju.
Yeah, Juju has
in his
some
receiving yards.
Pretty incredible squares on the board.
Yeah, I could definitely get down with that angle 100%. Back in Juju, he's also got a touchdown demon square. Interesting.
Does he?
Yeah, circling back to the running back situation, here's how I think it plays out today. I know people are excited. Fantasy owners are excited to see Pacheco back in action. It took way longer to get him back in there than we all expected, probably from the rip. But that's also Andy Reid and the Chiefs being extremely conservative when they had the best record in the NFL. So if I was Andy Reid, and I'm not, he's a better coach than me. He's a smarter guy than me, football-wise. If I was the coach, though, if I was Andy Reid, sure, I would get Isaiah Pacheco up and moving out there, Jovan. I'd get him loose. I'd give him, 7 or 8 carries, and then I'd probably bench him for the rest of the game and not risk any injury because you need that guy when the games count in a couple weeks here. Sure, you want to get him back, but the way his running style as well, Pacheco, extremely angry on the ground, very aggressive runner. Do we really think he's going to show up and be that guy today? Do we really think they're going to give him more than 10 carries today? Even with a spread this fat, I still don't see a world where he gets more than 10 carries. I think Kareem Hunt gets the bulk of the carries, ends up with more, obviously, not a crazy take. And I wouldn't mind a little Isaiah Pacheco, less than 10 rush attempts play on Prize Picks.
I wouldn't hate it.
I just don't see why rush him a ton. I don't see the juice is not worth the squeeze. You have Kareem Hunt.
What if those reps come after they're up 50 towards the end?
Yeah, but if they, in my opinion, Goots, that's a great question. You're asking the right questions here. In my opinion, if they're up big in this game, what's the need to keep Pacheco out there and overuse him in his first game back? You want to get him a handful of carries and that's it. Get him comfortable, get him ready for, the games that matter down the stretch. Not when they're laying 14 at home against the Raiders and they still have Kareem Hunt. That's kind of where my head's at here.
It's a good point. I don't know. I don't know if I would personally die on that hill just because I don't know what their plan is for him. I assume they kind of left him on the shelf until the last possible moment where he was full go healthy. So I don't know what they're going to do with him. I honestly have zero desire to get involved.
All right. We can move on then. I'm definitely down to take that Juju more than 19 receiving yard square.
Yeah, I'm down for that. For sure down for that.
I want to look at Noah Gray. I know he had a good game in their last game, but I think I'd rather go Juju than him still. Yeah, I would. Looking at some of his squares. Definitely not get involved with Kelsey either.
Yeah.
I think maybe it's just Juju and we move.
I'm down for Juju.
Why don't we look at the Raiders? Obviously, I gave out that rushing yard square from Aiden O'Connell, and I will be taking that. It's still up there, which is good. Curious to hear if Jovan's got any thoughts on the Raiders squares.
Yeah, I mean, that one's kind of tough too. It's because Brock Bowers, the whole offense, you would assume if you're the Chiefs and if you're Spags, you're doing everything you can to keep the ball out of his hands. Like the ball's got to go somewhere, and not that it's going to completely be away from Brock Bowers' hands, but I don't know. There's a couple of guys that I could get down with. Trey Tucker is like their gadget guy. I've seen quite a few people on him today. I wouldn't mind that. It's just, I don't know. I'm not all that sold in a game that I don't think Aiden O'Connell is going to do incredibly well. I'd be down if why don't we just do a 2-piece with Juju and the O'Connell Lamar square?
Certainly down for that. Want to ask you about a couple more of these squares. They've got Michael Mayer up for 12.5 receiving yards, which I thought was kind of interesting. He really hasn't eclipsed that anywhere close in the last month and a half.
Yeah.
Thought that was kind of weird. Not really feeling the DJ Turner love. Obviously not really feeling the Jacoby Myers love either. Harrelson, no chance I'm taking him. Looking at those squares. You kidding me? If anything, I'd take the less than there.
Yeah.
O'Connell's got a fucking goblin interception square. Dude.
I mean, yeah. It's Aiden O'Connell, dude.
Yeah, you're right.
You tell me Mayer and catching 1 for 13.
I feel like Mayer might be getting a catch.
Notre Dame goats.
For 13 yards.
Might.
I'm not opposed to doing a 2-man with Juju and Aiden and moving. I'm also not opposed to doing a 4-man with Juju, Pacheco, Aiden, and maybe even Michael Mayer. Just want to get that out there.
I wouldn't tell you no.
What do you think, Chad? Is Michael Mayer showing up the backup tight ends when they're double teaming, triple teaming Brock Bowers? The only guy that could potentially win in this game? I wouldn't be shocked. Sure, O'Connell's had some reps with Michael Mayer as well in practice with the 2s and the 3s. Yeah. I'm going to run that 4-man, and then I'm going to run that 2-man as well.
Amen.
Juju, more than 19.5 receiving yards. Pacheco, less than 10 rush attempts. Aiden O'Connell, more than half a rush yard. And Michael Mayer, more than 12.5 receiving yards. I'm going to run that 4-man. Okay, we did smack a 3-man yesterday, so down to get weird and try to hit a 10x. And I'm also going to take that 2-man. Jovan, little 2-piece. Okay?
Little 2-piece. Take the edge off.
And the Juju square's gone.
No, it's still up here.
Maybe my phone's bugging. Let me find her. Come on, Juju. There he is. Good. I got to lock it in on my phone because my PC's not letting me do it.
GG.
But we're locked. Chad, I'll drop the link as well. You guys want it? A little 4-piece and then a 2-piece as well with just Juju more than 19.5 receiving yards and Aiden O'Connell more than half a rush yard. All right? Dubs. I'm locked. Lock in this 2-man. Goods.
Locked as mom.
I'm locked. All right. You guys want the link to the 4-man, and then if you want to make that 2-man a lineup for you guys as well, you can just take out the other 2 guys. I'll put this link in the chat. And then we're going to move and groove and talk about some college football and then some college basketball. Okay? And then we're going to get to the weekend plays. All right, the link is in the chat. Get involved. All right? If anybody's watching this Miami of Ohio college football game as well right now, it's fucking crazy. There's been pick sixes. There's been safeties. There's been madness. Absolute madness in this game. The score is 14-5. You don't see that every day.
Yeah, you
okay?
don't.
No, you don't. All right, guys. Classic action. Yeah, you're right. All right, let's lock in here. Jovan, you want to look at the college football games for today? We got a couple starting up here in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Thoughts on Texas State and South Alabama? Texas State flipping from a dog to a fave. Is it finally time?
I want to say it's time so badly, but I don't know. Texas State is just one of those teams too, dude. It feels like the sharper they are, the less they come through. And everything in me wants to take Texas State because they just lost outright. It's like 3 touchdowns, maybe more than that. I think it was like 24-point favorites. I forget who they were playing, but lost outright. Crazy loss, but feels like we've done the same song and dance with Texas State for quite a few weeks where they're coming off a disappointing loss. Surely they bounce back and cover. It's probably the spot. I just can't do it, dude.
Yep. I agree. I'm with you. I'm down to sit that one out. I would lean Texas State, but like you said, whenever they're sharp, they never come through. And I hate fading South Alabama as well because every once in a while they show up.
Yeah.
They put up some points.
It does happen.
So I'm good. I'm with you. All right, guys. What about Mississippi State Ole Miss? I mean, obviously, if you looked at prize picks today, you probably noticed some of Jackson Dart's squares that are up. He's got a 2.5 passing touchdown square up on prize picks. His fantasy score is high as heck. I know Lauren was talking about it in the meeting this morning. saying that she thinks Jackson Dart absolutely balls out tonight. And I don't disagree whatsoever. I like his more than fantasy score. That doesn't mean I like them to cover that -25 spread, but I mean, after that embarrassing loss, I certainly would not be fading them and taking Mississippi State in this rivalry game with them catching, 5 points of steam. It's probably Ole Miss, right? And look at the Pickett splits, dude. Look at the Pickett splits on the spreads. That's crazy. I know there's not a ton of coins on this game compared to some of the others of the NFL game, but Jovan, Mississippi State's getting some spread bets.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a lot of
It's
points.
got to be Ole Miss.
It's not good.
Yeah, they're not. What are your thoughts on this game if you had to play something on the books?
I mean, I would have to play Ole Miss, truthfully, because I believe Trey Harris is probably not playing either because he left the Florida game hurt. So they're laying this many points without him, and every time he steps out, their offense looks like it never gets off the bus until, if they are playing a shit team, they eventually pick it up in like the third quarter every time. But if they're not, cough, Florida game, and he's out there or not out there in the fourth quarter, Jackson Dart looks like he's never thrown a football before. So, like, I think this is probably an Ole Miss roll spot, and I do need to check and confirm if Trey Harris is for sure not playing, and if he's not, I mean, Jordan Watkins, whenever Trey Harris is not in there, Watkins is the guy. So I would not mind taking him on PP too.
If you had to take, I'm down to take a peep at his squares. If you had to take something for Jackson Dart, would it be his more than fantasy score? And just encapsulate everything? Probably, right?
Yeah, probably.
29, bro.
It's a little scary because, like, it's high, but it also has baked in there that he's been running the ball a lot too. I don't know that he's going to need to do that.
And his passing yards has gotten bumped up about 5 yards today as well. Maybe it's just passing yards.
I mean, I think it's the Egg Bowl. It's going to somehow find a way to be weird, even if they eventually win by a million. I feel like it's probably going to take a bit to get there because the game always starts out somewhat weird. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate the fantasy score. Just it's so high. There's so little margin for error, even with like a rushing touchdown, which he's got that weird squared up too.
Yeah,
I'd probably rather just take one of the receivers.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. I will say he did have a normal 2.5 passing touchdown square, and now he has a 3.5 demon. So obviously that 2.5 on the books, too juicy for them to keep that up. They had to move it to a 3.5 demon, which is a good sign for his fantasy score. And Ole Miss, obviously, and points.
I don't know that it is.
Ooh, really?
I don't know. I guess it's weird. They're like on both opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm looking for like the 2.5. Some books have it all the way juiced to the under, and some have it the opposite way.
Weird.
I guess I don't really know. I don't know what the point is.
He's also got a goblin, a rushing and receiving touchdown. He hasn't had one of those in a while, so that's interesting. Maybe we just look at their receivers.
Yeah.
You were thinking Jordan Watkins, maybe?
Yeah. I mean, he is going to have to be the guy. Trey Harris downgraded to doubtful earlier this morning. So, yeah, I assume he's not playing. And whenever I would, looking at the line, probably assume he's not playing either with Jordan Watkins at 81.5 yards.
Okay. Yeah, I'm down to take that Watkins square. He's got a touchdown goblin as well. Good sign. Hasn't scored in 4 of his last 5 games. You want to take his receiving yards, right?
Yeah.
He does have a fantasy score up, by the way. Just FYI.
Watkins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down to take the yards. 81.5. Is Ole Miss O-line fully healthy, Brinks is saying?
I don't think they've been fully healthy for a couple weeks.
They look like shit. That I know.
Yeah. It's not very good.
They look like shit. I'm Damn J coming in, dropping a follow on Twitch. Let's go, Damn J. Sure we can. Flatwoods Fell is asking about how the live coin toss went. Are they able to go back and rewatch that, Jovan? On YouTube or Twitch?
I think it's up on the YouTube for sure.
Okay. Hell yeah. We'll drop the link in the chat. If you guys want to rewatch the live coin toss, first ever live coin toss this week, W getting that done as well, Jovan. I know it was kind of madness with everybody all over the place traveling for Thanksgiving, but you guys got it done. Great show. And chat, if you guys missed the coin toss live, you can still go back and rewatch it on the YouTubes. Gucci's going to drop the link right now. Get involved. Okay, I'm sure there's plenty of talk about the games today. Plenty of talk about the games on Saturday. All right. Dubs. All right, Jovan. It's probably Ole Miss on the spread. Probably not going to play it, but it's got to be.
Yeah.
I'm taking Sam Houston plus 2.5. Are you getting involved in that one?
You think I should get involved?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I want to fade Liberty pretty bad. I really do think
involved.
they're frauds. And you know I'm a sucker for a plus 2.5.
Of course.
Sure. We could take a quick peep at Sam Houston squares because there was a couple talking points, but nothing really to write home about. I mean, Hunter Watson, their QB, who's a dual threat, has been running all over the place recently. His fantasy score is very high, which is a good thing. So that makes me feel good about it. I mean, Jay Ducker's rushing yards, 51.5, not super high, but a little bit red too. So could be a W script. And Hunter Watson's passing yards in this game is what really threw me off. It's pretty high compared to what he's been doing recently. He's been a big ground guy. They've got his rush yards up there. It's green. I think it's going to be more of a passing attack for Hunter Watson this game, and he won't be using his legs as much against Liberty in that D-line, but we'll see. I think if I had to take a square in that game, I'd probably take Hunter Watson more than pass yards.
Be convinced on that.
All right. Slip and Jimmy, yes, we're going to do the weekend previews here in a moment once we get through the rest of the games for today. Okay. What about Utah State, Colorado State? College football, Jovan. Looks like the Rams catching a couple points of steam after a loss. And Utah State, I know they're not good, but they're finishing the season well. They've won 3 of their last 4.
Yeah, I don't know that I really got anything that I love in that game. I'll be honest with you. I do not want to bet on Utah State this late in the year.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know the last time Colorado State has beaten Utah State in football. It's been a long time. Yeah, there's a 5-game win streak right now for Utah State. Damn.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would probably lean the Rams in this game. Colorado State, I'm not going to bet it. No fucking chance. I'd lean the Rams in the under. Certainly not betting on Utah State after how well they've been playing recently and Colorado State coming in off a loss. You're taking San Jose State, the Spartans, at home on the ML, I believe.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to tell that. Sure. What about Nebraska, Iowa, Jovan?
I kind of wanted to take Iowa in this one too.
Really?
Yeah.
With that spread coming down as well?
Yeah. It's just this is the first week after, or really like last week was the first time, maybe all season, you can say Nebraska's offense looked like insanely good because Dana's in there calling plays. They didn't look great first week against USC, but part of that was just because Dylan Raiola is fucking terrible and he missed every single throw possible. He didn't last week. They put up, 44 points against Wisconsin in a game that I was definitely surprised to see them handle that lightly. So, like, now you're going to end the season after they just broke the streak of, I don't know how many games in a row it was that they've lost with bowl eligibility on the line. They finally got one. Now you're going to Kinnick to finish the season, and that line's coming down because they have like a quarterback situation. I think they're down to like the 3rd or 4th string at this point, but we know Iowa's probably winning games with Caleb Johnson in their defense, not the quarterback. So
with that sketchy QB stuff going on, that -3 looks a little sharper, even with the bets. Okay.
Yeah.
W. Probably not going to bet that. I don't like that game. Total's up in that game too, which I thought was weird with the backup QB involved and Iowa involved.
That's pretty
I
odd.
thought that was kind of weird. Maybe points. Maybe it's points. All right. Georgia Tech, Georgia. Georgia Tech's kept it close the last couple of years, Jovan. You think they do it again?
I think they might, dude.
Yeah.
I can't get out of my head what I saw from Georgia last week. And they were literally like UMass was running all over them like they were, I don't know, the greatest rushing attack of all time. Like early in that first half, they were punching them in the mouth just with like inside zone straight behind the center. Like it was kind of bad. And like I was chirping one of my friends who's a Georgia fan. He was like, after the first drive where they just ran it down their throat, like with no remorse, it was like, that's fine. They got their one. They're not going to score again for the rest of the game. They did. And then they did it again. The same thing. And one of them was off like a crazy deep touchdown pass. But I don't know, that UMass looked like they kind of hung in there physically with Georgia, which concerns me because Georgia Tech, what are they going to do over the entirety of the game? Like Haynes King's probably not beating them through the air. It's going to be his legs and Jamal Haynes' legs and the whole rushing attack. So, like, if that's the sticking point, I would not be surprised if this was really close.
I agree. I think it's Georgia Tech on the spreads. I just looked at their prize pick squares, not loving anything for Georgia Tech. I'm trying to look at some Georgia squares. Maybe there's a fade or two in there. Carson Beck rush yards.
Dude, every
He's
time
up for 4.5.
up, every time that's up, he is Lamar. Literally
God
every
damn
time.
it. I want to take the less than.
It's Lamar.
Certainly will not be now.
I usually take it every time. I don't know if I will be this time just because it's 4.5, which is conveniently half less than he got last week against UMass. But
Yep.
Those two massive green bars that he has, like one in the Tennessee game and then the one, what is that? Before that against Texas, which you probably should have gone over by more. Those are the last two times it was up.
All right. Well, I'm going to stay off of that one then. That's fair. What about Utah UCF? Utah's getting 10 points. What the hell's going on with that?
I mean, Utah's terrible, dude. Really bad. They're going to the East
See their
Coast.
QB's fantasy score up there, though?
Utah's?
Yeah.
I mean. Huh. Well.
Excuse me, running back.
I was going to say.
Micah Bernard.
QB's up there for yards, but he
I misspoke.
hasn't really been playing all that much in the game.
No.
But yeah, Micah Bernard.
Sucks.
Yeah, he's really bad. The whole any quarterback Utah puts out there is really, really bad. But I don't know. For whatever reason, I kind of think they stay in this game. Might be ugly. I don't think they're going to go out there and score 1 million doing it, but I don't think UCF is either. I don't know.
Okay.
It's an odd game.
Okay. Kind of lean Utah, and I kind of like that Micah Bernard square. I don't know if I'm going to play it, though. That's a big spread for two teams with the same record as well. All right. Well, that's college football for today. We can save the hokey talk for never because they don't deserve it. You want to go over the college basketball plays for today?
Sure. Lead the way.
There's plenty of them.
We got to start at Louisville. I need the affirmative from Krabs.
Yeah, we could start with Louisville here.
On Louisville.
I think starts up, what, at 3?
5, I think.
5 Eastern. Yeah, we got time. Yeah, Louisville can be played today. I don't know if I'm going to play it myself. I bet on them 2 games ago. They came through. I know everybody was on them last game. They came through. I like to take my money and run personally after a team's been cashing like that, but I do think they're the right sides. And I think they probably hand Oklahoma their first loss of the season. I'd probably play the ML with how yesterday's game went, but yeah. Let's see if Louisville can get it done. I think you got to fade Oklahoma in that spot. You got to back Louisville. What do you think, Jovan?
Don't disagree.
Taking the Cardinals?
I'm really scared to fade Oklahoma. I'll say that. I love Louisville, and I'm on that train with you. But I don't know. Oklahoma kind of scares the shit out of me. They're such a weird team year in, year out. This team especially, because you don't really know. This is like I don't want to say deepest they've ever been, but it's the least top heavy they've been. Like usually they have a guy that you know is going to be the guy, really since like Trae Young, and be the like QB of the offense and everything, and just do everything that they need. So like if you shut him down, then everything else, nothing really happens. Now they have kind of different ways to attack you. So maybe I'm a little scared of that, especially being that like if you go 5 out on Louisville, you're probably going to score whenever you want. So that concerns me a little bit.
A little bit worried about the defense for Louisville in this game. Yeah.
A tad, yeah.
All right. Yeah, Goots, I like it. I don't know if I'm playing it myself. I think Louisville's done enough for me over the last week or so where I can kind of put them in the back burner there. All right, Goots is in. Good. Any earlier games that are worth our time? I know the Frogs game's starting up right now, Jovan. You got any thoughts on that one? Frogs versus Colorado State, tipping off right now?
Shit fucking team out there in Fort Worth, man. I will not be putting coins on them, except for, I don't know, maybe And a non-con, sure, but the one game they're going to get a big upset in conference play whenever Wenzel decides to be like good Michael Porter Jr. I don't even know what to do with him right now.
Okay. All right. Then we move. What about Pitt, Ohio State? This one starts up in 25 minutes on Peacock. 2 one-loss teams. Spread's moving towards Ohio State.
Yeah, maybe a little odd, but I have respect for both those teams. I do think Pitt can match the physicality of Ohio State. I wouldn't be surprised if this is an under game. That's probably what I would take if anything. But it's going to be close. That's probably a game that I don't want to bet too much.
Yep. God, look at those bets on the over. I know not a ton of bets, but nobody's taking Pitt. Nobody's taking the under. Damn. I kind of like Ohio State, and I like that under with you as well. Total's down a little bit too. That could be a brutal, very physical, low-scoring affair. I can see that. But I do think the Buckeyes can cover that. They got some respect for the Buckeyes as well, laying 5.5. I'd lean that way. I don't know if I'm going to get to the counter there with that one, but I'd lean that way. Any thoughts on Pepperdine, New Mexico State? I saw some New Mexico State love in the chat coming off of 2 losses. Pepperdine is absolutely atrocious as well. They might be the worst team in college basketball.
Really bad. I mean, I faded them with Fullerton, so it's probably bottom of the barrel as far as what you can get me to bet. So if you want me to say they're going to not cover against New Mexico State, I won't give you any trouble.
Yep. Okay. Not betting that game. No chance. I like George Mason as favorites at JMU. Already talked about that one on the Sharp Report chats. Want to go ahead and power through this slate and talk through the games that matter so we can get to the college football and NFL plays for the weekends. I'm also on Santa Clara on the ML against Washington at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Purdue and Ole Miss is a pretty good game as well that we should probably talk about, Jovan. You got Purdue down from 4.5 to 2.5 to some places against an undefeated Ole Miss team. This Ole Miss team just covers. They don't always win, although this season they do. They're still undefeated. But even in the last year, this team covers games. I'm done fading them. I think it's Ole Miss here in this spot, even as an undefeated team against Purdue, only getting a handful of points, or it's nothing. But I won't be betting it because I'm worried about it being fake sharp. And Purdue already has a loss under their belt. So I'll be sitting this one out, but I definitely lean the Rebels, and that's what I would recommend.
Yeah, this one does kind of scream fake sharp to me in the gut.
Yep.
But will I be laying Purdue money line? Probably not. So
no.
Lean their way. Not going to bet it, though.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Any other good games that are worth our time late night? You talked about Texas Tech team total over against Northern Colorado. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Gonzaga is really good. I want to go ahead and get that on record. That Gonzaga team might be different this year. They're good. Okay, don't forget about that. Maybe don't be fading the Bulldogs this season. They're good. I'm not betting them today, but certainly not taking the other sides. Couple other good games. Yeah, I give them a pass.
I think
give them one pass there.
West Virginia might be a little better than people realize too. I've watched them a couple times, and they look kind of shaky-ish at times to start the year because they're just getting the whole pretty much new team together. And DeVries was a little hot and cold. Now they look like they're starting to get it going. So I think they might be a little good.
Okay.
They look very different than some of the teams, obviously, the last couple of years.
I mean, I love, Coach DeVries is a beast. And it wasn't just his son who he brought over there. He brought over a couple players as well. They're solid. I give him a pass for that, Goots, but definitely keep my eyes peeled on Gonzaga, and they cannot afford another loss like that. But their wins have been very impressive this year. Zags look different this season. St. Mary's, Arizona State late night. Arizona State already has a loss. Do they hand St. Mary's their first one tonight?
I mean, they might. I think another team that is a little better and has been stacking, really good performances over the past handful of games is ASU. Another team that I guess people don't really know how good they are yet, or they don't care to watch them and find out. So I'm definitely not taking St. Mary's after what occurred last night in that game. Holy shit. USC is fucking terrible. Not to take anything away from St. Mary's because they've been playing well all season. I think they're that team, but USC, really, really bad ball club. So pretty hard to take St. Mary's after that last night.
I like Arizona State in the spot. I don't know if I want to bet on them coming off that outright win against New Mexico. They've been very impressive. They've ripped off 4 wins in a row, and they've covered 4 of their last 5. But this is a hungry Bobby Hurley squad, and he's got his back against the wall as well. If they don't do something this year, if they don't improve this year, he's out of here. He knows that, and he's got probably his most talented team he's ever had. He's a completely new team. We knew it took him a couple games to get going early on the season. They looked like shit against Idaho State, the Potatoes, when we took them. But since then, this team has come along and progressed a ton. They're a completely different team than when they played Idaho State. And I would say Arizona State plus 5.5 has to be the move against St. Mary's, who just held their opponent to like 36 points in their last game yesterday. Crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy. USC, speak of them.
Bird talking about UNI. That caught my eye.
Ooh, UNI.
Yeah.
Huh.
Would not
I'm down to take a peep.
UNI. I think it's the Bonnies.
3-3. They're getting 2.5 points. Neutral site game. They've lost 3 of their last 4. The Bonnies are coming off a loss as well. And the Bonnies are a team that just covers every goddamn game. And this season, they're 6-0 against the spread.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Shit teams, though.
Unbelievable. It's got to be UNI, though, coming off that embarrassing 20-point loss where they only put up 48 points. It has to be UNI.
Josh Green bang. Let's go. Double bagels.
Sure.
But I wanted to take my GOAT in this game because he's on the prize picks board today, which he's almost like, he's not as good as Nick Nash, obviously, but like pretty much whenever he's on the board and doesn't have like the worst match of all time, I'm taking him. So Titan Anderson is going in a slip, especially since we're looking at the Bonnies. Any like wing that rebounds and has size has been tearing them to shreds this year. I think I forget who just did it on Utah State, but I want to get involved. Something Titan Anderson today for sure.
I was about to say it's got to be the GOAT Titan, right?
Yeah.
12.5 points.
Yeah, I wish they were giving us PRA. It's kind of ass that they're not, but
they got a 6.5 rebounds that's red and a goblin. So yes, maybe we wait and see if they do put up a PRA, but not a great sign that it's a goblin.
I would love to see. I might just take his demon boards, dude. And the little demon geyser.
Yeah. 9.5.
Boards,
Jesus.
Boards might be crucial.
Okay. Yeah, chat's splurging for Josh Green.
0.53 up is crazy too.
Yeah, I know. I'm seeing that one too. Huh. Hasn't hit one since he did against the Anteaters. About 20 days ago. Huh. All right, Josh Green. Getting chat bricked up. Love to see that. Good. All right, let's keep moving and grooving. Is he in foul trouble?
Yeah, he's had 4 fouls and been sitting out for a bit. Still hit it.
Bruh. Still fucking battling. All right. One more game. USC New Mexico tonight. College basketball. Midnight game on True TV. It's out in Cali. Both teams are coming off of losses. We talked about St. Mary's holding USC to 36 points. 36 points. 36 points. That's embarrassing. New Mexico, they're coming off a bad loss as favorites to Arizona State as well. But like Jovan was just saying, that Sun Devils team is a little bit better than people expect. And they caught the Lobos off guard. Typically a well-coached, non-fat, happy, and complacent Lobos team. They got caught off guard, and they lost that game. I'll tell you what, seeing the total move up in this game, Jovan, makes me want to take the over. I also would not mind back in USC, but I'm seeing that people are putting their coins on them on the spread, at least minimally right now, in a bounce-back scenario. But it's got to be either USC here or the over after, just embarrassing game from the Trojans offensively.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe it's a system play USC team total over. Just call it a day.
Yeah.
So they're scoring 75.
I don't mind that at all. Yeah, that's sign me up for that over. Late night, midnight in Cali, neutral site. Trojans have to bounce back. They probably cover, but instead of getting cute and backing them +6 while we're seeing some live movement towards New Mexico and they're coming off a loss, maybe it's just that team total over. Okay. Achilles is asking about our favorite straight bets. He's nuking for 500 and parlaying them together. Jeesh. Jovan, what's your favorite straight bet today, my man? Mine is Santa Clara ML in college basketball.
I think San Jose State is right up there for me on the gridiron.
Good.
Texas Tech team total over too. Don't get slept on.
Okay. 1A, 1B. W's. Or over weekends, meet on table, lol. Okay. Yeah, I'd say those are our favorite plays for now, Achilles. But yeah, we're about to get into this weekend preview and talk about some college football winners for tomorrow and throughout the weekends. All right, Gootsy, why don't we run that shit and get into the weekend college football preview? All right, chat. You guys know the vibes. We're coming with some heat for college football this weekend. And I know we don't have as many games, a lot of games today. We're not including those ones on this, college football weekend preview, but we still have plenty of winners and plenty of options. Jovan, we'll get it started out with some snooze fest. We'll get these unders over with before chat falls asleep. And I'm starting out with a Washington-Oregon under. Typically, these totals in this game every year are like in the 60s or 70s, Jovan. I know Washington's taken a step back, obviously. With their team overall on both sides of the ball, but especially offensively. But you look at the last couple of times these teams have played, we've seen totals at 65.5, 67, 74, and we've seen Washington win this game actually outright the last 3 times in a row. Crazy. Last time they played, obviously, was in the playoffs, I believe, in that crazy shootout, 34-31. Now we're seeing in a rematch this year, Jovan, a total drop in from the 60s when it opened up down to 51. Some crazy line movement on that total. I'm willing to hop in and take that under still. I don't care. I don't think it's low enough. I'll take the under and back both teams to score combined less than 50 points in this contest. I think this will be a closer game than people are expecting. I lean Washington and the Huskies, but I can't get there because they've covered and won outright the last 3 years. So instead, I'm going to take the under in this game, and I'm going to fade Oregon's offense. That did not look sharp last game. Before that, they've been unbelievable, but against Wisconsin, it seems like they kind of figured out how to slow them down. And Washington's defense is still at least feasible and solid. I wouldn't say they're great. I wouldn't even say they're above average, but they're solid enough, in my opinion, to limit Oregon's success. I think they keep this game within 14-ish points. Washington probably covers in a low-scoring, gross game. For the first time in a while against Washington and Oregon, you're not going to see fireworks. You're going to see a shit game.
Could be down with that. Absurd comment from it's got to be Trent on the Bookit account. Just absurd comment.
Goots ran that shit, and now my wall is wet. Okay.
That's absurd.
Okay. Grow up. We got Captain Slim coming in, resubbing. Let's go, Captain Slim, here to save the day. Attaboy. Dubs. All right, Jovan, let's hear about this under in the Arkansas-Mizzou game. Sure.
Yeah, back the Mizzou team and offense did pretty well last week against Miss State. Thought that was their kind of get-right game after a couple of shit games, tough opponents, backup quarterbacks, whatever. They did job, put up almost 40 points covered. This week, obviously a tougher matchup. They're getting Arkansas, close spread, 3-point game. But I feel like this is going to be a trenches game, partially because it's how both these teams are built, but also game's supposed to be, like a lot of the games this week, cold weather, windy, snowy a little bit for the game too. So it's going to be a lot of the run game. Thing is, like, both these teams, when they've had to run or had these games going against other opponents, it hasn't really been open with a lot of explosives. Like Missouri is going to have to chug against this defense, and I think it's going to be a slow grind against Arkansas. They're a physical defense. They keep everything kind of over the top. They make you kind of dink and dunk them down the field if you are going to throw the ball, which is why Texas was never really able to pull away from them in that game. And I don't know, a lot of the bigger teams, they have been kind of the same story there. So I think there's going to be a lot of running game on the both sides of the ball. And then like on the Arkansas side, their offensive line is absolutely terrible. So if they have to rely on that, it's going to be between their rushing game with whether it's Taylon Green's legs or Jaquindon Jackson, who's been banged up for pretty much the entire year and still is. Like, I don't know if it's going to be very efficient when they're running the ball, is pretty much what I'm saying in this game. So slow grind, not too many points. As Trent would say, SEC matchup. Call it a day.
Not a good game for props.
Not a good game for props, hopefully.
3 straight overs for Mizzou. Obviously, we took them as a parlay piece last week. We took Brady Cook more than passing touchdowns. They did job. Respect. Shout out Nick. Shout out Joshy. Shout out Mizzou. This week, we fade the fuck out of them. We take the under in the game. We back Arkansas's defense and hopefully Mizzou's to show up just enough to give them a win here to close out the season on top. I almost put this one in for my snooze fest. So happy to see you did. Good. All right, chat. What do you guys think about these 2 unders? Do not let these plays get swept. When there's more fun plays on the boards, these could still cash. So keep these in the back pocket. Some nasty unders. All right. Let's get to some Mikey Overs. Change the vibes. Let's talk about some points, some fun games, some fun bets. I'm in love with West Virginia this weekend. I want to bet them on the ML. I want to bet them on the spreads. I want to bet their team total over. I want to fade their opponent each and every way. I'm a big West Virginia guy, Jovan, this weekend. Garrett Green. I know. I really didn't either. They've cost me coins overall this season, especially early on. I kind of stopped betting them recently, but I cannot not bet them in this spot, Jovan. With their team totals at 30.5, I think this is going to be a shootout. I don't know if there was a team or player that was getting more respect on the Prize Picks board than WVU and Garrett Green. Straight up. Garrett Green's squares are absurd for this weekend, and he's been running the ball a lot recently. I think it'll be more through the air in this game, but we'll talk about Garrett Green more in a moment. I'm loving WVU +3, down from 3.5 in this game, and I also like their team total over, but instead of getting Texas Tech involved, their Prize Pick squares are a little bit disrespectful, and I believe they're coming off of a 56-point game. Yep, so I wanted to keep them out of this and just back WVU, who's won 3 of their last 4 games. They have some momentum. This team kind of reminds me of the Hokies last year, who got off to a terrible start. They had a lot of hype preseason last season. Terrible start, but then the second half of the year, Jovan, they low-key kind of locked in, and their offense looks really good, all because their quarterback started fucking locking in and doing his job, mainly. And I think Garrett Green has his best game of the season against a very bad defense in Texas Tech. Not a hot take. Love that the total's on the way up. Instead of backing WVU on the ML or the spread, they've been fake sharp every goddamn game. I'll just take their team total. This is the perfect spot to do it.
I could be so in on that. I do think the game's probably going to get weird. So if it likely is not coming because West Virginia's defense is going to be clamped. I'll tell you that.
Probably not. Probably not. All right. And yes, back to Malik. I do like Santa Clara a lot today. W Ball of 22, letting the people know in the chat. Love it. Always on the wrong side of WV. Boots on ground for Texas Tech, my alum. Achilles said. Yeah, I don't blame you. That's a good chirp. We'll see how it goes. I am due as ma to smack a WU bet. Maybe that's a good thing. We'll see how it goes. Jovan, you picked a pretty fun game to take an over in. You're seeing some points between Fake Beamer and Dabo.
Yeah, maybe it doesn't look that fun on paper because I don't know. It's two defenses that have been playing pretty well. Like South Carolina, really all throughout their season, the offense has been a question mark at times. But Clemson, even though they haven't been particularly impressive lately, like they've been playing close games with your Hokies. I mean, they probably should have lost the game against Pitt as well. Their defense has been the other reason they've been in those games because the offense sputtered for the first half of the VT game and then the second half of the Pitt game. So like offensively, they had their little break against the Citadel in between. I feel like this is where they get it back together. And with their scheme specifically, especially when you're facing a really good defensive line, they like to open it up early and kind of slow down the pass rush, which if I'm Garrett Riley, if I'm Cade Klubnik, if I am even, I don't know, Dabo calling the shots here, the only way that you penetrate that defense kind of early on and slow them down whatsoever, slow down their physicality, slow down the pass rush, slow down just how physical they're going to be with your wide receivers on the outside, you have to attack them over the top early. So I think that's exactly what they're going to do. I think Klubnik comes out with a couple over the top shots early, kind of takes the top off the defense, and South Carolina's forced to respond. Clemson has also not been fantastic against running quarterbacks as well. So like I feel like Lenore Sellers, even though I'm not the biggest fan of what he can do in the pass game, I think his dual threat ability is massive in this game and puts a lot of pressure, especially on the linebackers for Clemson. And when they've seen that this year, they haven't really responded all that well. So I feel like this is a game. I feel like South Carolina Clemson every single year, it's just like whatever you expect to happen doesn't really happen. Like if the offenses are coming in like hot as they've ever been, that's when the game ends up being, I believe it was like last year where there was like a touchdown on each side, super low scoring. Now you have, I would say, the best two sets of defenses coming into this game that you've had collectively in quite a few years. Now you're going to get points. It's going to be a weird game. Great game. Hopefully a great game for props too. But yeah, I like points.
All right. Rap said Pacheco is a full go, has no limitations Friday. Does not mean he's going to get a full workload. It just means that he's healthy. Keep that in mind when you see tweets like that, chat. Not saying that means that I was wrong. Also not saying that means that I was right. That just means that he's healthy and a full go, and we'll see how they actually deploy him out there. Okay? Kate Klubnik has some weird squares up, Jovan, that I want to talk to you about. He's got a 1.5 interception square up that's a demon. No normal square. Just a 1.5. He's also got a 1.5 passing touchdowns goblin. That makes sense because he's been just an absolute touchdown throwing demon recently. He's got a rushing receiving touchdown square demon. It's been a little while since he's had one of those. Maybe it's his fantasy score. Pretty high at 23.5. I wouldn't mind a sprinkle on that for Cade.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. It's just, again, another one of these fantasy scores that has their rushing baked in for a couple points. And like,
Yeah,
look at his rushing yards. That's because he's been running and now he's going to be facing pressure against the defensive line. So he's probably in for a couple sacks.
yep.
If it comes down to that, he probably didn't deserve the fantasy score anyway, but I hate taking fantasy scores like that. I don't know. I'd rather maybe lab up. It's kind of tough with the Clemson receivers because there's quite a bit of them, but like there's probably a handful of them that are catching bombs. So I wouldn't mind just tagging one of those guys or going.
You'd rather take a receiver or just take even Kate Klubnik's passing yards probably instead of his fantasy score.
Yeah. I would also not mind taking something probably Sellers related on the other side more than Klubnik.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like that sell job. I like the angle. Points in Clemson, South Carolina. That game's going to be epic. All right. Noon start tomorrow. That should be a late night game. That's stupid. All right.
I feel like the ACC. ACC is just always great early games.
You're right. They do. Just great games overall. Great games overall. All right. Yeah, ACC is a shit show this year, but when all the teams are equally shitty, the games are kind of fun. Let's move on to the next category here, right? We did the unders. We did the Mikey Overs. What do we got now, Gootsy? Some favorites? Yep. Some blowouts. Teams we think are winning and winning big. Bang! Let's go, Gootsy.
Busted. Literally busted.
Let's go, Gootsy. We got the Irish up there. Love to see it. Before we get to that play, I know Chad wants to hear that sell job. Let me give you my JMU sell job here. Who's been one of the biggest mid-major overperformers in college football so far this season, Jovan? I'll give you a hint. The answer is Marshall.
Yeah. Goats.
It's Marshall. Yep, it's Marshall. They're on fire. This team, covering machine, 9-1-1 against the spreads. It depends on what numbers you're getting. They're probably 10-1. It depends on what books you're using. But just a covering machine. They've won a bunch of games in a row. They fucked us last week and beat ODU in that bullshit game. They had the refs on their side. It is what it is. I'm not here to, bitch about that game still. I do want to talk about JMU, though, because they've had a little bit of a different season. Look, we know their coach went to Indiana and just got paid, and he's one of the best, most underrated coaches in college football. Sure, I do not disagree whatsoever. But what do we know about this JMU team, Jovan? Or at least what have I told you about this JMU team? It doesn't matter who's coaching. They lose a coach every 5 years like it's clockwork who goes on to a bigger school because he's a beast. The next guy that comes in is just as good. It makes no sense. Whoever is picking the head coaches down there at JMU and Harrisonburg deserves a raise. If it's the AD, if it's the boosters, they've got the system figured out, a well-oiled machine once their coaches leave because they do so good. I think JMU coming off a loss here hands Marshall their first loss in almost 2 months, Jovan. I'll take my chances with the Dukes here at home in a big-time game. They've lost 2 of their last 5. Marshall's been on fire, almost unbeatable, and certainly just a covering machine. I'll take my chances with JMU here coming off an embarrassing loss to App State where they lost by 2 touchdowns when they were minus 7.5 point favorites. This JMU team, nobody wants to bet on them at this point. They don't think they're good, but JMU's quarterback is just as good, if not better than Marshall's QB, and you're going to see that this weekend in Harrisonburg when JMU hands Marshall their first loss in 2 months.
Yeah, I'd love to say I have something to back the Goats, but I really don't. I feel like this is the game where they get smacked.
Yeah. I mean, who the heck wants to play minus 3.5 anyways, right? People hate laying that number. They love taking plus 3.5. Another reason to back the Dukes. This has got to be Dave in chat. We don't talk enough about how Signetti should have been at VT after his second year at JMU. Yeah, I mean, that would have made way too much sense to make a call down the street to try to get a local coach who's doing a hell of a job and out coaching, out performing, out recruiting your school that has way more money and resources. That would make an incredible amount of sense, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? Fuck. If I see one more video of the Virginia Tech athletic director, Whit Babbitt is his name. Just sounds like a fucking bozo. Whit Babbitt. If I see one more video of that 6'8", 150-pound old geezeball leaving a fucking VT game early, I'm going to go have a convo with him myself. You have one job and you are overpaid to do it, and you can't sit there and wait another 45 seconds for the game to end? You lazy piece of shit. It's your job. The worst AD in the Power 5. Whit Babbitt. Remember the name. Fuck. All right, let's move. I want to hear the Notre Dame sell job here, and I know Goots does too. What do you got?
Yeah. I think Lincoln Riley, I hated this the second he did it because I've been kind of on the Lincoln Riley is extremely overrated and not doing a great job, and we're just kind of letting that go in one ear and out the other, and nobody's talking about it because they went into the Big Ten and they're getting their shit kicked in, and then he benched Miller Moss to kind of say he's the problem, not me, and it's very clearly not the case. I would say they've been fortunate to play the opponents they have since the benching, so nobody's really paying attention to it because they're winning games, not looking great doing it. But Maeva is not the answer, and all that to say, like, I don't think the offense is going to be the problem in this game. I think the offense is going to be fine. I actually think that Maeva and the offense can kind of stay in and keep themselves in this game for a little bit. I think Notre Dame's offense puts foot on the necks of USC's defense, which USC's defense sneakily has been kind of skating by again because the offenses they played the last handful of weeks. I still don't think they're that good. I remember this is the same offense that let Billy Edwards and the Terps come back in a game that they had absolutely no business coming back and winning in Maryland. And yes, you're at home now, but as much as I would love to take credit away from Riley Leonard and what he's done throwing the ball or what he is throwing the ball, he has looked progressively better and better and better throughout the season. And I don't think that if you're just watching the game is a product of the opponents he's facing. Everybody loves to take credit away from Notre Dame, period. This is the one team that I feel like is in a somewhat obvious spot of everybody wants them to lose because they're the team that everybody thinks is fraud in the playoffs. You're getting a home team in USC in a rivalry game at plus 7.5, touchdown on the hook. It looks very enticing. I don't think so. As much as you can say, because I think you're going to talk about Maeva in a little bit. I don't hate the angle that there's going to be points in this game because I think USC's offense is going to pull out all the tricks, all the stops. If you're Lincoln Riley, this is your last chance to show, hey,
you let all your tricks out of the bag. Yep.
Yeah, you just had the best offense maybe of all time with a generational quarterback last year, stroll into South Bend and look like you're Iowa. They got absolutely stomped. So, yeah, you better have some tricks up your sleeve for this game. And they probably will. Problem is, I think Notre Dame's going to go in there, and not only is Riley Leonard going to do what he wants through the air, Jeremiah Love is going to run for 103 touchdowns. He's going to dominate them. So as much as you can say maybe USC puts up some points, I think Notre Dame puts up 40, and they dominate this game. And again, looks very enticing with, I don't know, I would say the most obvious looking dog out of the fraud playoff teams or playoff teams that are like on an upset watch. And look at that, you're getting the hook at home with USC.
Yeah.
Should be free.
I hate that the Trojans are getting the hook, and I hate that number. You know I do. One of the squarest numbers out there that I typically just don't play whenever it's the number because I think it's fucking cake. I disagree with the play. I lean the Trojans. I like where your head's at with the sell job, and I don't disagree that Jeremiah Love probably has a field day. I think USC keeps this game within the number, and I think this game is high scoring and electric, and I think we get a really good 3:30 p.m. game on CBS for the first time in a while. I lean the Trojans, man, but I'm not playing that stupid number, and you're probably right. And at the end of the day, if I take a step back and stop caring a little bit about, the recent games for these two squads, this is still Notre Dame against a blue blood college football program that plays Notre Dame, I believe, every year, almost every year. And they're getting plus 7.5 at home. I know Notre Dame's much better. I know they're 10-1 ranked 5th in the country, but this is the Trojans we're talking about here. Come on. That's still a pretty big spread for a road team. It's probably enough to keep me off. And it's really just a lean for me on USC. So if you have a stronger read, please feel free to lean into it and let me know that I'm, wrong here. But I just think the Trojans and this other QB, I like him. And he's got a sketchy square up on Prize Picks we're going to talk about in a little bit. But the good thing is I like points. So maybe USC shows up offensively and then Notre Dame late in this game closes the door and they win by 10.
I'm with you on that. And I'll say, last thing I'll say about it, because I've been mentioning that they've been kind of skating by in the two games that Maiev has played. Not only skating by, but because they won by 8 and 6 in those games, covered both of those games. Both of them came, like the other team had the ball on their ends at the end. Like Raiola threw the ball into the end zone, so they had a chance to potentially tie it at the end of the game. Garbers had a chance to lead a game-winning drive and fell just short. So it feels like they're just on the edge of skating out some 2 wins with Nebraska and UCLA. Now I want to get to the place where they're fading because it seems like, I don't know, Lincoln Riley's onto something. He benched the quarterback and they're 2-0 since then. It's where it all comes crashing down when you start to get excited about it. You realize he's the problem, not Miller Moss.
I could see it. I could see it. Probably not going to play the Trojans. Just a lean. Gootsy, can I get a score prediction for the Notre Dame versus the USC Trojans Saturday afternoon?
35-21.
Okay. Go Irish, go. Sure. Expected. All right, chat. Let's stay locked in here. All right, let's stay locked in here, huh, fat girls?
Some dudes.
Others trying to sell NASA shirts.
links.
Yeah, let's hold off on selling other shirts in the chat if we can. Let's hold off for a little bit on that.
That'd be great.
Okay. All right, let's move on to some upsets. All right, we're taking our sweet time here in the college football segment. Let's pick it up a little bit here. Let's talk about some upsets.
A lot of dogs I like this week. So
good. And happy to spend a little bit of time for honorable mentions after this as well and go over rapid fire some of the other plays we love. We deserve, or the people deserve that. But my favorite upset this weekend is Texas A&M. Jovan, I think you're on the same page as me. I'm really hoping this isn't too easy. I'm really hoping this isn't forced. I'm really hoping this isn't me thinking that A&M has a chance to make the college football playoff still, but then I look and see plus 800s, knowing that they have to win the next 2 weeks in a row probably, including beating Georgia in the SEC championship if they end up winning this game against Texas. The odds are stacked against them. But when you say all that, the plus 800 doesn't seem as crazy for those two things to happen, winning 2 games in a row against Texas and Georgia, right? Maybe it should be plus 1,000. Maybe it should be plus 10,000 for that to happen. Those are 2 huge asks. So I keep kind of going back and forth there in that sense. But one thing I know is that I'm 100% playing the plus 5.5 here with Texas A&M at home. Look at Quinn Ewers squares on Prize Picks, looking like he's not going to have his best day. Texas's defense has carried them at times when Quinn has not played great. I think they're going to have one heck of a time shining in probably the loudest atmosphere they played in all season. Down there in Aggie Land, College Station, Texas, that place is going to be going bonkers. And after 2 losses in their last 3 games, I'll take my chances with the Aggies here, looking like the sharp side, catching some steam down from plus 6.5 to plus 5.5 at home against a Texas team that, Lauren, I apologize, put the earmuffs on. When the lights are brightest, we've seen them collapse more often than we've seen them thrive in recent years. I think this could be one of those spots when they've been a little bit too good recently.
Yeah. You know I'm in for that, Krabs. You know I'm in. All over it with
now, realistically, I do think Texas probably wins this game by 1 or 2. And the Aggies' playoff hopes are probably cake. But not a lot of points to play with when that spreads down to 5.5, right? Maybe they do win that game outright. Not banking on it, but I will 100% be on that spread. Loving it.
Yeah, I'll bank on it. I'll be
loving
with
it.
You.
Okay.
Talking about goats, I'm taking Cincy. This is pretty much the Cal-Miami game for me, just for Cincy. It's like they have their own little designated bet that I always knew it was going to make or knew I was going to make. Just so happens to be against the Frogs, which is unfortunate. But TCU, they just got up for a lot of the reason why I was kind of looking ahead to this game. It's because I knew it was going to be a cold weather game, one, and it happens to be. It's the first night game at home since he's had all year. They've been waiting for it. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving weekend, so like student section's not going to be as bumping, but it's pretty important because of the weather up there. You're getting a night game. TCU is going up to Cincinnati in like 25-degree weather, super windy too. So it's going to be cold as hell. Any of these late season games, TCU is known to fold, and they're a very pass-heavy team. So when you got not only like do they not run the ball outside of with Savion Williams, a wildcat running back, but Cincinnati loves to run the ball probably a little too much sometimes. So like when you have a really bad run defense in TCU, you can't really ever do it too much. So cold weather game, since he has all the advantages in that, surely, but it's also the spot. Like TCU just got up for a really big like homestand, I guess I'll call it. It's not like hockey or baseball or basketball, so it's not technically the same, but they just had a big game against Oklahoma State, which again, both these games are against shit teams, but it was big in TCU's right because they wanted to finish the season strong and get 2 home wins, appease the fans against bigger opponents, what usually are big games. Oklahoma State, they did job, blew them out. They had a bye week. They were chilling at home. Then they went back and they faced Arizona, which is a team that a lot of the fan base and a lot of the students were super excited to face for the first time in Fort Worth since the Big 12 has been kind of rearranged. So like that was a big deal. That game was a massive deal. It's a lot of Arizona people at TCU, so they're really looking forward to that. Blew them out too, even though it was a little weird early. Now they got their season together. They got 7 wins. They're kind of sitting pretty. The second half of the season, I would say, was a success after how poorly the first half started. Now I feel like their season's kind of over. Like, what are you doing? Going up to Cincy in 25-degree weather, looking for your 8th win, which doesn't really change shit, especially being the fact that after Colorado wins this game, they're not the only team, but like after Colorado, this goes final tonight, all of their chances of the Big 12 championship, even though there was the slimmest of slim chances, eliminated, gone.
Yep.
It's like, what are you going up there and playing for? Colorado or Cincinnati's playing for a bowl. TCU, they got their big wins in front of the fans. They're not really playing for much. Now you got to go up in 25 degrees against a more physical team that's going to run down your throat at night. Have fun.
Yeah. I hope this is not the dreaded, we can't figure out how to fucking bet our own teams or colleges that we went to syndrome here, but I cannot ignore that sell job because it was the best one we've had yet for a college football game. So,
well, I will say the only other time I've felt very convicted and actually played it myself, fading the Frogs, was SMU, which was their worst game of the season. They got 66 points. So, say it like that.
All right. Yeah, let's leave it at that before the gambling gods get pissed off. Good.
Yeah.
All right. Fading the Frogs back in Cincy. This is an honorable mention play. I'm entailing this. I love the sell job. I love the play. Good. Couple subbies coming in and a couple follows. We got Jock Kid 123 dropping a follow. S. Dot, the NASA shirt guy, dropped a follow. Sure. B. Tavares coming in, resubbing. D. Decker, Captain Slim. We appreciate you guys. W subbies. Okay. And yes, I will be tailing Cincinnati this weekend. And if anybody's watching this Miami of Ohio game, it is insane. They just had a 70-yard touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And that game's going to go over.
Yeah.
Don't let the Red Hawks get hot, man. I thought Bowling Green might have had a chance this year, but the Red Hawks, they might win the MAC again.
They just might.
They're at least going to go. All right. Let's keep moving, Gootsy. Let's talk about the next category here. What do we got? Meat on tape, favorite plays of the college football weekend on the books. And somebody in chat called it. Yep, I'm taking Vanderbilt. I'm back in Diago Pavia. It's been his year. It's been his season. And I think one more time, this team goes out with a bang. Tennessee's coming in off of, I believe, an unbelievable performance where they won 56-0 against UTEP in their last game. That's fucking great. Jovan, you and me could probably find a couple people on the street and put up a better fight than that UTEP team.
Didn't look very good in that game either. I'll say that.
No, but the scoreboard looks like it did, right?
Yeah.
So that's all that matters here. We're fading them here. We're fading Tennessee, a team that we think are frauds already. So we love the spot already. And Vanderbilt's been a fucking wagon, and not only just this season overall against the spread, they're 8-3, but at home as well. I mean, they've been taking care of business and doing job. They're 4-2 outright and against the spread at home so far this season. And I do think we get a Vandy cover and maybe even a weird outright win. In Nashville. I think this game is at their stadium as well. I don't think it's at the Titans. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but
no, it's at Vandy, right?
It's at Vandy First Bank Stadium. I believe that's the stadium that I was in Piston earlier this season when the Hokies were in town. I'll take my chances with Vandy down from like 12.5 to 10.5. I think Diago Pavia's got one more magic show in him before he hangs them up. And I think Tennessee is a bunch of frauds. Coming off that big win on paper, we're fading the fuck out of them. We're back in Vandy with the points at home. We might need them.
Might need them. Yeah. I'm in. Of course I
Good. And you got the Aggies. Beautiful. Love to see it. Good.
Yeah. Has to be done. You give a bulk of the sell job, and I'm sure some people have heard it on the coin toss episode, so I won't give the full rehash, but
go watch the coin toss.
Yeah, go watch that if you want a little more in depth. But I love revenge games for Colin Klein, because that's what I've been betting for really the last couple of years. He's one of my favorite coaches to bet on and across any sport, because all he does is make adjustments to schemes he's already seen. So like his offense works very well. It's all predicated on scheming wide receivers open. It's not really predicated on like the quarterback making a bunch of reads, which is why like regardless of whether Marcel Reed or Wegman looked good or bad in the game, like it's really all on Colin Klein and the scheme that he puts out there. So there's a reason why, after he's seen it a couple times, last year, Will Howard, he had his career or season high in passing yards against this Texas defense. The year before that, Adrian Martinez, you can't throw the ball, did the same thing. So now you get to play the same scheme, which is important. It's the best Texas defense you've seen in a couple of years, especially in the trenches. There's been a big difference. But in the secondary, people don't realize they rank in pretty much all the same places. So that's going to be important. This is a game that Texas A&M wins. Obviously, it's a massive rivalry game. I think game day's there. They've been waiting for this game to come back for a little bit. Now it's finally here, and you got caught. Elko did, saying they're looking forward to it last week, even though we all kind of already knew that without him slipping up and saying it. You lose that game that was in the look ahead spot. You're looking ahead to something, and this is very, very clearly it. So I'm going to take you sure as hell in this game.
Yep, has to be the Aggies. Love the play. One of my favorite plays as well. Happy to see you put that in your meat on tape category. Good.
Sure.
Chat, do not let these two plays get swept. The Aggies and Vandy, 2 dogs, should be barking this weekend. Okay? Dubs. Let's keep moving and grooving. Let's talk about prize pick squares for college football here. All right, let's power through these. I mentioned Garrett Green. Okay, I want to bring up Garrett Green again here. His fantasy score is high as heck. I like points in this game, especially from Dub V. I think they win this game outright. I think this total soars over. And I think Garrett Green, not even with his legs, but he's been running all over the place recently. I don't even think it'll be much of his legs, but I'll still take the fantasy score. And I wouldn't be surprised if he rushes in a touchdown as well, which would be huge for this 25 fantasy score. It looks like it's a massive number on paper compared to what he's been doing recently. I think it's going to be the Garrett Green show, and they're going to finish the season strong here with a big-time outright win at the hands of their underrated QB. Garrett Green's got plenty of experience. He's got an insanely high fantasy score that's red as heck if you look at the charts. He's coming through. He's putting up a big-time game and a big-time number in the stat sheets and probably carrying Dub V to an upset.
Yep, and on that.
This one you might not be in on, but you at least respect it. Jaden Mavia, more than 1.5 pass, rush, and receiving tutties. I believe he's the only guy up in this category unless it's changed. I'll double check it. Nope, he still is. Obviously a very red chart. The chart really doesn't matter that much for him. He's only played a couple games. But I like the over in this game. And I, unfortunately like the Trojans, or at least lean that way. I think Mavia balls out. And I think we see the Trojans coach in the last game of the season, like we talked about earlier, kind of empty all the tricks out of the bag. Why not? And try to get a little cute. Maybe we see Mavia running a little bit on the goal line like he's been doing too. I think he's scoring twice, at least being involved in 2 scores for the Trojans in a high-scoring game.
Yeah, still in for that.
Good. What are you cooking up over there on prize picks, my man?
Couple running backs, couple berries. Which I'll start it with this because honorable mention for one of the dogs that I didn't have up there because I like Cincy the best out of the bunch. Love Kansas State this weekend. Farmageddon against Iowa State. A lot of Iowa State's defense has been good. If you look by the numbers, they've tapered off the last couple weeks, I guess, surely. But the run defense is really bad. They're kind of built exactly like BYU, where they're pretty good in the secondary, but if you just run all day on them, you find a lot of success. That's why, if you look at all their Big 12 games, UCF had a field day on them. They ran for 354. Cincinnati ran for 287. And literally half of that was Brendan Sorsby with his legs. Avery Johnson's going to be a big part of the fold, and that's important. They're probably going to look to limit him as much as he can. Kansas did the same thing. Texas Tech did the same thing. They're going to run down Iowa State's throats. And yes, Avery Johnson's going to be a part of that, and I'm going to take him too because I think it's going to be a 2-headed attack fully. But DJ Giddens is going to do whatever he wants against that defensive line for the entirety of this game. Anytime they face a decent rushing attack, they're giving up quite a few more than 100 yards. And I feel like this is going to be the DJ Giddens show game, just like it was when they played a really bad run defense against Colorado. Same deal. They fed the shit out of him, and he absolutely grubbed. This is going to be a similar game, especially being that I think Kansas State is starting to figure out that Avery Johnson throwing the ball is not very good. So stop making him do it. So now they're just going to feed him. So 2-headed monster, a lot of rushing yards in that game, him and Avery. Love Giddens, though, probably more. Then Corey Kiner mentioned it about the TCU game. TCU's run defense, it's looked better, I guess, over the second half of the season. But when you look at who they've played a lot of teams that can't run the ball, and they've been trailing. So the game script has kind of been completely dead. When they have faced teams that have a decent rushing attack, a good offensive line, and they're not in a 30-point trailing game script, what happens? They still get their shit pumped in on the line. So Corey Kiner and Cincinnati offense is going to do exactly that. It certainly helps that you got a team that's a little more used to the cold weather playing against a team that's going up on the road, 25 degrees at night. They're going to get punched in the mouth. So give me Kiner. Also going to have a massive game. Believe it's his senior day as well. So last time he'll be up and moving in Nippert Stadium, he's going for 100.
All right. 2 running backs, 2 berries. Love to see it. I had 2 QBs, 2 times. See how it goes.
That could be the difference.
See how it goes. All right. Let's cut the shit. Let's go over a couple honorable mention plays here. I'm going to rip through a couple that I had, and then we're going to get to NFL. I almost put this on the college football preview, but I stopped myself, and I'm happy about it. It's still probably a winner, and I'm still probably going to play it. It's ODU minus 4.5. Yep, I said it. ODU minus 4.5 on the road to Arkansas State after what ODU did to us last weekend, which should be illegal on senior night in a night game where they had to win to keep their bowl hopes alive. Well, now those same seniors have a chance to get some revenge after absolutely embarrassing themselves, their family names, and their schools last weekend. They get a chance for some revenge against an Arkansas State team that has 0 to play for. They've already clinched a bowl. They've overperformed this season. This is a perfect fat, happy, complacent letdown spot for Arkansas State, the Red Wolves. And we're going to back ODU catching some steam. They opened up a favorite, which I loved. I thought that was weird. And they've gotten steamed up 3.5 points in a game that doesn't matter for Arkansas State. I'll back ODU, who's lost 3 in a row, to get their confidence up and have their seniors get one more chance to have a good game, go out there and win, and finish their careers strong, because they're not going to the fucking NFL. They're probably not even going to the XFL.
Yeah.
And they're not going to a bowl game. So this is their bowl game right here.
Literally is.
This is their bowl game. This is it. That's how they're going to treat it. Okay? ODU is a smash. Michigan State money line is a smash. I like Michigan State. What are your thoughts, Jovan, about fading Rutgers?
I hate doing it when it seems like it's the play, because another one where they steal coins sometimes, dude. But I don't hate it. If it was anybody other than Aiden Childs playing quarterback, I'd probably push the button with you.
All right. You got any other honorable mentions you want to talk about?
Yeah, and I won't give the full sell because we're running out of time, but said there was a lot of dogs that I liked that couldn't fit in the segment. How about 5 of them? So I got 5 for you. Vandy we talked about, so I'll leave that one off. But I guess Kansas State plus 2.5, we talked about a little bit too. I think they're going to run all over Iowa State. UTSA plus 7, start your day early. They're going to West Point. Last time they were on the road, that was when they blew that massive lead against Tulsa. Ever since that game, really, they've been playing fantastic football, and I don't think it's any sort of it's not just happening that like Navy, after they played Notre Dame and got their shit kicked in, they've been kind of in a free fall ever since. I know they're playing decently right now, but it's against a pretty shit team. I kind of think Army's going to do the same thing. They're going to play poorly and maybe lose outright to UTSA in this game, and then who knows what's going to happen when they face Tulane in a super weird game in the AAC championship that might not mean anything anymore next week. So yeah, give me an upset there for UTSA. Cal, this is the second spot again, just like Cal Miami, that I had them kind of circled. It just so happened that these are like really the only 2 games. Maybe I guess you can count Auburn too, but they've been big dogs twice this year. It was against Auburn where they won outright, and against Cal, or against Miami at Cal where they should have won outright. They're going to make this game very, very interesting, and I would not be shocked if they came out with a win here too at SMU. Monkey off their back after playing a couple close games. They lost to the double-digit favorite and then should have lost to the double-digit favorite the last 2 weeks. Now they go on the road after becoming bowl eligible, after playing all these close games. They're going to make this very odd, very weird, especially now that SMU is pretty comfortably they're in the AAC championship or the ACC championship. They're just kind of working on seeding at this point. But that game in the championship means everything, no matter what, if they win or lose this game. Cal's going to make this weird, really odd. Then last one, Fresno plus 8 against UCLA. That game is also going to be really weird. UCLA has been hanging tough with a lot of close teams. Now Fresno's going to come in potentially with an upset too.
Wow. Down from 12.5 to 8.5.
Yeah, fat.
For Fresno.
Super fat.
Jeesh. All right. I loved all those plays. There was not a single one I didn't like. I probably like Fresno the least, but I like all those plays, and I definitely lean all those dogs with you. That's for sure. Chat, you guys ready to get to the professionals here? Have we done enough college talk for you guys? You know, we'll post the graphics. Why don't we head over to the NFL preview, Gootsy? Run that shit. Sure. All right, Jovan, why don't you get us started off? I got to go to the bathroom real quick, but get us started off on the under in Seattle and the Jets, and I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, this one maybe makes a lot of sense, but what Mike McDonald and that defense has done the last couple weeks, I saw tweets are like what he just did against divisional opponents in these really, really big games is exactly the reason they brought him over to Seattle. those were two masterclass defensive performances. And while I do think there's probably a game looming around the corner where they're going to get got, because the secondary realistically was kind of really bad before those last couple games. They're not hiding their injuries and everything in the interior well either. I don't think it's going to come on the road against New York. If anything, I think this is the game where maybe the offense, I know they haven't been fantastic recently. Like they won putting up, 16 and 20 points in the last two games. I think this is the one where they kind of continue that stretch and maybe they have a little bit tougher of a time against the Jets defense that, yeah, they've been kind of tapering off too, but I think they're still physical enough to cause the Seahawks problems, especially when they want to throw over the top. I'm waiting on the time where the Seahawks defense is going to get got in the next couple of weeks. I think it might be when they face the Cardinals the second time in Arizona next week. I don't think it's this one, so I like this under. I think it's going to be a gross game where the Jets offense does what the Jets offense does and struggles quite a bit against this defense, and helps too if they're coming off of a pretty high scoring game that I know I kind of expected, because for whatever reason I've started buying into AR in his next stint with the Colts quite a bit, but coming off of that game that was high scoring and now they're coming off a bye, you would think they get it together. I don't think so.
Okay, rolling with the under in Seattle and the Jets. Sign me up. It's square. I don't care. McDonald's defense looks sharp as attack right now. Do you think Seattle wins that game?
Not so sure.
That spreads. I know it's moved, but still no respect for Seattle coming off that big win. Do you think the Jets out of nowhere get a win?
They might, dude.
I kind of think they do.
Especially since like last week. Last week was kind of the weird short spread where I wasn't fully convinced on the Seahawks, and you love them, so I just kind of listened to you on that. You're getting it again, and I know it's on the road this time, but it's kind of tricky.
Yeah, I think it's the Jets. I might even play them. I like that under as well. Good. Cleveland and Denver under for me, Jovan. This is a Monday night game. I really didn't love a ton of unders, so I wanted to reach to Monday night instead of giving you guys a play I liked a little bit less. I like this under a lot in Cleveland and Denver. I think Cleveland's defense stands up, and I think they give Denver some serious troubles here. A team that's looked really good so far. You know, they struggled a little bit a couple weeks ago, but they pulled off back-to-back wins then. But that was against Atlanta and the Raiders. I mean, those defenses need to fucking wake up and get going, especially the Raiders. They're just terrible. Cleveland's defense I can trust. They held Pittsburgh to 19 points. I think they do something similar, if not even better, against the Broncos this weekend. And I'm not expecting the Browns offense to really do much in this spot, to be honest with you, on the road against Denver's defense. That's been one of the biggest bright spots. If you took them in fantasy this year, you've kept them on your team probably the whole season. Who would have expected that? Probably nobody. I mean, that defense is actually good. Sean Payton's career is on the line. You got to trust his squads. And I'm going to trust the under here and fade both offenses in a game that I think it's going to be extremely low scoring, nasty. First team to score like 17, 18 points probably wins.
Sure. I'm in on that. Gross game.
All right. Total's down 1.5 points. It's a Monday night primetime under. Should be a good look. See how it goes. All right. Let's move on to some overs. Let's talk about some points. I like points in the Rams and the Saints game, Jovan. Maybe this is a little bit square. I don't know. You tell me. Saints offense has looked a little bit better in the last couple of weeks after they fired their coach, right? Rams are coming off of 2 losses in their last 3 games. Thought the Rams would be sharp last game against Philly. I was incorrect. But they did put up 20 points. Should have put up more, to be honest with you. But that Eagles defense has actually been pretty solid. I think against the Saints defense, it's taken a step back so far this season. Sure, they showed up against the Falcons and against the Browns in their last couple of games, but I do think their defense gets banged up a little bit by Matt Stafford and co. And they put up one of their best performances over the last month or so. And they put up like a 30-piece at least, maybe even covered this game as well. But also think the Saints offense behind Kamara, after they fired their coach the last 2 weeks, has looked much better, putting up 55 points in their last 2 games combined. All they got to do is put up, a 25, in the high 20s here. And I do think this total soars over and the Rams will carry the weight. Total's up 3 points as well. Looks like one of the sharpest overs on the slate. I'll back the Rams offense and Matt Stafford to carry after 2 losses in their last 3 games. And I'll back the Saints offense that looks rejuvenated after firing their coach.
I can doubt that. I'll talk about the Rams in a little bit. Definitely like them.
Okay, cool.
Points. Yeah.
Good.
But I went with Texans team total, which I would just be taking the full game over if I don't know what the story is. I think Trevor Lawrence is kind of slated to play. It's a lot of good news, I guess, to buy for the offense if he's coming back, and you got the Jags coming off a bye week. Granted, that was a bye week after they just lost by, was it 46 points against the Lions? So definitely one they kind of needed, but a little much for me taking them on that. But the Texans offense, the book is out on CJ Stroud. And I will hand up say I've been the guy that has been said the book is there for quite a bit. And you know what teams are doing? They're playing zone coverage, a lot of it, because he can't read it. And you know who plays man coverage at the highest rate? I don't know why they do, because they don't have the depth. They don't have the, I don't know, their defense is riddled with injuries. Their corners are also burnt toast 99% of the time, the Jags. And they did it the first time against Stroud, and you would think that they would make some sort of adjustment throughout the year because they're getting absolutely torched in man coverage and they're injured, and the injuries are starting to pile up on the defensive side of the ball. They're the most stubbornly coached team in all of football, and this is exactly why. I mean, CJ Stroud has success against them in the past game. The game they played first time was close, but I think regardless of what happens in this game, they're going to score points. There's going to be whatever big bounce back you need from CJ Stroud, not just because he needs to have a good game under his belt after he's been dog shit for like 4 or 5 weeks, but because they're going to give him the looks that he's been successful against this season, not what everybody else is actually doing with competent coaching to stop him. So give me CJ Stroud and Texans pretty much everything this week.
All right. You know, I'm a first team All Texans fader and hater, although I was a big CJ Stroud guy. Yeah, 100%. I like the spot for them, and the Jags are dead as ma. I like the team total over. I think you isolate that puppy, and you do not keep the Jags in this game whatsoever. Is Trevor Lawrence even playing? I don't even know. I don't even care. So. I don't even want it to be a part of it.
I don't know why. I don't know why they wouldn't just sit him for the season at this point, get a draft pick.
You'd think. Yeah. But that is a shit org, so they're not going to do smart things.
Yeah.
All right. Stroud and Nico MMG stack, eh? That's what Fat Girls is saying. It just might be.
Yeah.
It just might be. Okay. All right. Let's move and groove. Love that team total over, Jovan. If we're going to back the Texans, that's probably the way to do it. Let's go to the next segment here where I think we're talking about some blowouts, some big-time favorites we like, and I'm going to do it again. Oh, golly. Not happy about it, but I am going to do it again. I'm going to take the Bengals here on the ML. If you want to take the spread, sure, go ahead. So I'm going to take the ML against the Steelers, a covering machine. I think the Bengals win this game. You know how I tell you guys sometimes the opening line matters more than the closing line, right? If it's weird enough. Well, the Bengals were -5, and slowly the spread has trickled down towards, a field goal now, which makes a little bit more sense. But that opener, in my opinion, with the Bengals catching that much respect in this spot, means more to me than where that line's at right now. And I'll take the Bengals in a must-win game against the Steelers, who finally showed that they're human last week in a loss. No way the Steelers lose 2 games in a row, right? They're playing the Bengals, who've lost 3 or 4. They look dead. They're toxic. That team stinks. Joe Burrow's playing his best, but doesn't have any help, right? I'll take the Bengals here when nobody wants to fade the Steelers for 2 weeks in a row. Nobody thinks they're going to lose 2 games in a row. That opening line for the Bengals tells me everything I need to know. They win this game, and they win big.
Can't blame you. Can't blame you for it. I went Rams with mine. I feel like the Saints are in a weird spot because like they've looked pretty solid the last couple of weeks before the bye week. Which the first game against the Falcons, that was coach fired narrative game. Of course, they won that game. You always find a way. Then they beat the shit out of the Browns when everybody wanted to take Jameis because cool story returning back to New Orleans and Jameis, the whole train. He's super public always, but everybody was excited about that. I almost bought in, came close to buying in, just kind of wanted to leave that game to the side. Now they've had a week to kind of marinate and see who they are as a team. And now you got the Rams, who are coming off a relatively similar spot in front of the whole world on national television, where the Eagles defense shut them down for a majority of the game. And they got some, if you box score watch, it looks a little better in the end. They put up 20 points, but regardless, that game was not really close. They got dominated. Now you get a chance to go in a dome to New Orleans, put up some points. I think their offense is going to have one of the best days of all time. People forget. The Saints, as good as they've been the last couple of weeks, I know the defense has technically looked improved. They held Kirk Cousins to pretty good numbers. Same with Bijan and that, and then they shut down Jameis for the most part. That defense is still bad, and I think we're going to realize that in this game specifically. The run game's going to get going. I think Kyron Williams has a monster day, which opens everything up for Stafford in the pass game. So Give me, maybe this is a buy low spot on the Rams. I don't really know what to classify it as, but they're winning by 3+ in the Superdome.
All right. I like it. I like the over better, but I like the Rams in this spot as well. Fade the Saints, who have looked a little bit better after firing the coach, making some changes. Let's just hope they put up some points as well. Okay.
Sure.
And would you look at that? We've got a random Miami of Ohio touchdown to pretty much solidify them to go to the conference championship. Okay.
Wow.
They're up 27-12. I don't know how the hell they just scored there, but they're going nuts. That should do it. That should do it. Shout out Miami of Ohio. Chiefs by 1 million today. Not the Major Matt saying. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. Okay. Who wants to back the Chiefs to win a game by 2 touchdowns right now, anyways? When's the last time they've done that? All right.
Packers picks. 5U subber.
Yeah, we got hella subbies coming in. Not the Major Matt resub for 30 months. Didn't even see that. Let's go, Matt. Chiefs by 1 million today. Yes. Pax picks coming in with a 5-unit whale. Love to see that. Pax picks, you're good. Can we get some W's in the chat going? Love to see that. All right. Let's keep moving to grooving, gents. Let's get to some upsets. Let's talk about them. 2 dogs we think are going to be barking in the NFL this weekend. And I've got my eyes on the Falcons, who have been going back and forth between a favorite and a dog in this game. I think right now they're pretty much +1 everywhere. And they're a dog. No way the Chargers lose 2 games in a row, right? Kind of the same angle I gave with the Steelers. And great, you have the Steelers +3 on there. Fuck. I just noticed that. Great. That's ass. Well, no way the Chargers lose 2 games in a row, right? Just like the Steelers, huh? I think they do. And I think, we've talked about bye weeks not mattering a ton in the NFL this year. It's actually hurt most teams against the spreads. I do think that trend turns around a little bit towards the end of the season. We see teams cover and win off a bye. And I think the Falcons are the exact spot here, Jovan. I'll take them at home +1 against the Chargers team that, in my opinion, is a little bit overvalued, overrated. Sure, I have a ton of respect for Harbaugh turning that team around, but they had a lot of good talent on that roster already. They just have not been able to figure out how to use it. Harbaugh's done a good job of using what he has, and I'm impressed by that team. I just think they're still overrated, and this game is simply more important for the Falcons. Coming off a bye, they've had 2 weeks to prep for it. They saw the script from the other Harbaugh of how to beat the Chargers last week. I think they utilized that, and I think Kirk Cousins, through the air, has a field day in this contest. And look, Bijan's going to get his. He'll do his job. I don't think it's going to be like a Bijan legacy game. I think it's going to be a Kirk Cousins legacy game when he has not been doing shit, really. He's, people are saying he might be hurt again. After a bye week, a little extra rest, I think Kirk Cousins comes in locked in and gets a big time win at home against the Chargers.
Yeah, I really don't know what to do with that game, so I will leave that up to you. I'm hoping that maybe you're wrong. Keep the Bucs' hopes alive, but I'm not so sure. But yeah, I did go Steelers. I'd be lying if I said I felt incredibly good about it because I recognize.
I see you went to Steelers.
I recognize the line. I see everything about it. The one thing I can't get out of my head though, because I'm talking to a couple of friends, listening to a couple of friends bitch during the Browns game about Mike Tomlin. They're the most spoiled fan base of all time that they're bitching about. They're calling it the Mike Tomlin game, scheduled Mike Tomlin game, that he was going to have a disaster class against the Browns in Cleveland, and that's why he should get fucking fired. They're talking about him getting fired while they're sitting there at 8-3 with Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Unbelievable. Most spoiled.
I'm seeing videos on the feed of people wearing Mike Tomlin shirts.
It's
making videos saying he needs to get fired.
It's unbelievable, dude. 8-3 with Justin Fields, your quarterback for half the season, and you're
I don't think they know how good they have it.
No, they don't.
I don't think they know.
It's actually absurd. So, now after all the bitching, I want to back them, especially when you're facing a team that consistently makes every single coaching mistake in the world. Sorry, Zach Taylor, and the defense really just puts them in a tough spot to begin with because they find a way to lose every game in excruciating fashion. And sure, I mean, it's a lot to ask for them to do it. What is this now? 3 games in a row? I'll pay to find out, especially against the Steelers in a bounce back spot. You got the Bengals coming off of, I don't know, those couple games where they lost in excruciating fashion, obviously, but you're also getting the bye in between there. So maybe that's cooked into the line a little bit with them playing at home. I'll pay to find out. I want all the Steelers fans to shut the hell up because Mike Tomlin, I would give left and right nut for him to be sitting there instead of Todd Bowles, dude.
Well, that's crazy. I'd give left nut to have Mike Tomlin be my coach.
I'd give both. I'd give both.
Yeah, do what you got to do, man. Mike Tomlin gets disrespected for no reason. I'm with you. I hope you're wrong. But I'm going to take the ML, so we could both win here. We could both win.
It's possible.
See how it goes. Okay. Somebody in chat said I'd rather have Todd Bowles. Okay. That has to be good.
Not bad.
That has to be good. All right, gents. Let's keep moving and grooving. Krabs fades the Chargers every week. Why you hate my team so bad? Like Lightning, I promise I don't hate your team. I'm just trying to make money, man. It's not personal. Just business. Okay. And I finally got one through the hoop last week, fading them. It was a while. I still think I'm down money fading the Chargers this year. So hopefully we can turn that around this weekend. Okay. Let's get to some meat on tape plays. Our favorite plays of the weekend. Yep, I'm doing it. I don't give a fuck what you guys think about it. I'm taking the 49ers. Yep. Reminds me a little bit about taking the Dolphins earlier this season when they were going through their bullshits, when they were going through hard times, and they went up to Buffalo and they almost won that game outright when nobody believed in them. Kind of reminds me of the same type of angle here. And I'll take my chances with no Brock Purdy after whatever the fuck we saw last week, and Kyle Shanahan, low-key, still trying to prove to people that he's him. He's got some work to do this week against a Bills team that's on fire. 9-2 this season. Nobody's talking about him. Nobody cares, probably because people are just waiting for this team to lose when the lights are bright. Well, I've got the game for it, guys. Sunday Night Football, 8:20 p.m. Eastern, right? I believe it's Sunday Night Football.
In a snowstorm, I believe.
In a snowstorm, right? The Bills, look, they know this shit. We were up there in Buffalo. These people, they hate the heat. They're used to the cold, right? And so are the players. And then the 49ers coming over from Cali, who've lost, 2 games in a row. They're dead. Their QB's hurt. They're toxic. Their defense doesn't look good this season. Everything that could go wrong for the 49ers right now has. Well, they're getting a touchdown against the best team in the NFL. I think they should be getting more points, to be honest with you. But this is not a line play. This is a, back in Kyle Shanahan, and this is a fade McDermott when the lights are bright play is what this is. I'll back the 49ers. I hate backing +7s on spreads. Typically feel like that's a fake sharp line. But in this spot, I simply can't resist. It reminds me of that Dolphins spread earlier this season when they went in there and almost beat the Bills outright on their home field. In a snowstorm, I'll take McCaffrey. I'll take Shanahan. And I will fade the Bills who lose or don't cover 9 times out of 10 when the lights are brightest. They're so due for an L.
So due. I will say, I looked at the slate. We were starting to lab up for this, and the first thing like my public brain went to seeing this on Sunday night, knowing it's going to be super windy, super snowy. How the hell is Brandon Allen going to go in there and cover 7 in Buffalo? It's immediately what my first thought was. So maybe you're in the right spot there.
Yeah, I hope I am. Who wants to take that at this point? Who wants to back the 49ers? And nobody wants to fade the Bills right now. They're leaving them alone. Or they're taking them. Not this weekend. They keep it within a touchdown. What do you like about points, Jovan, in Tampa and Carolina?
Yeah, so I think this game is going to be very different than the game in Carolina we saw last year because I don't know if anybody remembers that one, but that was the very last week of the regular season. Baker Mayfield was super injured. All the Bucs needed to do was just win, and they were in the playoffs pretty much. And that game ended 9-0, which was it was one of the worst Bucs games I've ever put eyes on, which is saying a lot. It was painful. Like Baker was like, I was asking for Kyle Trask. That's how bad he was hurt and how hampered he was in that game. So it was odd. Now this is kind of a similar spot because the Bucs are going back-to-back road games here. A game that they were laying the same exact number as last week against the Giants, and I love the Bucs. I was all over the Bucs in that game, and they took care of business just the way they should. People think that maybe the defense is going to be back. They honestly should have shut out Tommy DeVito and the Giants. Gave up a touchdown at the end to make it look a little better than it actually was, but they dominated that game. I don't think they're dominating this one. And it's not me just buying into like Bryce Young overall has looked much, much better since he came back for the second stint, but especially last week against one of the better defenses in the NFL, the best team in the NFL right now in the Chiefs. The offense looked fantastic. They put up points. The Chiefs game, that's the replication of every Chiefs game, just exactly how it goes. Played out like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's very similar this week. I do not think the Bucs defense is back. And what better person to expose this Bucs defense than the guy who knows all of their weaknesses, who was calling plays for the Bucs last year, and Dave Canales. It's his revenge game. And I think he's going to put on a masterclass. Chuba's going to absolutely grub. Bryce Young is going to have an absolute day, especially because They're trying to keep his depth of target a little bit lower, and what better defense to do it against than the team that plays a lot of fat man coverage off coverage, which is, I don't know why they do that, but it is what it is. Panthers are going to put up points. This game is going to soar. Baker's going to have to sling the rock a little bit more, but definitely helps when Bucky Irving is going to tear up that Panthers run defense too. So I feel like this game is going to have to be very like Falcons Bucks esque. Both of those games, really, where there's a ton of points, bunch of action back and forth, a lot of explosive plays. So yeah, very different than the 9-point game last year. It's going to be over.
I like the over. I think I like the Panthers on the spread better. TBD if I'm going to play that. I like points. I keep going back to the video of Baker talking about Bryce Young saying his career is not done yet. All right, forget what he said, but I'm probably botching it. But he said something like that, like he's got a lot of football ahead of him, right? I got a weird feeling about Baker Mayfield playing against his former team when he's pretty much taken care of business, showed up and carried his squad whenever they needed him this entire season, even without, some stud receivers. He's pretty much done it all himself a lot of the time this year. I feel like on the road against his former team, he's also in the middle of suing his parents right now. I don't know if you've seen that, but Baker Mayfield suing his parents for like $15 million that they apparently stole for him right now.
Yes,
there's a lot going on with Baker Mayfield. This could be a tough spot emotionally for him with all that stuff going on. And he's got to go back and play his former team in Carolina where he immensely struggled on that field, right? Think that brings back good memories? I don't know. So I'll be fading Baker Mayfield. We'll talk about that on Prize Picks coming up here in a little bit. And I like the Panthers on the spreads. I do think the total could still go over, and I like that it's on the way up from 43 to 46.5. Don't get me wrong. I just think the Panthers are going to have to carry for this. But I do like Bucky Irving's matchup. I think he dominates and has a really good game, and I think Chuba does the same as well for Carolina on the ground too.
Yeah, for what it's worth too. It's not going to be on my squares, but I've been trying to say this because I'm going to be doing this every week. Mike Evans needs to really get fed to hit that 1K again. So starting this week, I am taking it every single week the rest of the season, no matter what the matchup is, no matter what the game is. Just so happens that he has a pretty good one against the Panthers this week, but yeah, don't forget.
All right. Yeah, maybe it's Mike Evans' season. They're going to try to feed him. Dude's a guy.
Come out.
Get him 1,000 yards.
They've come out and said they want to do everything they can to get him 1K. So I don't think that's
going
to stop for a single week.
Sure. All right. Love it. Let's move. Let's groove. I think we got some Prize Pick squares to talk about here, gents. Stick with us. I know we're taking forever. We're milking today's show, but that's okay. That ain't no problem. We're going to finish up here soon, but first, some Prize Pick squares. All right. Kirk Cousins. I talked about him going off and carrying the Falcons to a big-time win, or at least covering that +1. They're probably going to have to win that game, though, and I do think they will. I think Kirk Cousins, after a bye week, shows up, shows out, and carries his Falcons offense. I'm not saying Bijan's going ghost mode, but I do think this is going to be Kirk Cousins, like we kind of saw Lamar, torch his Chargers defense at times in that last game. I think it's going to be Kirk coming through off some extra rest, some extra prep, some extra film, and hopefully after watching that Ravens film, seeing how to torch, slice, and dice up that secondary out there in LA at home on the turf, hopefully he's a little healthier as well. Maybe he can move around a little bit too. I think it's the Falcons, and I think it's Kirk Cousins doing job and carrying this offense to a big-time win when they need it most. I'll take his more than 15.5 fantasy score, okay? And then, I don't know. I want your opinions on this one, Jovan. I know you mentioned Bucky Irving. I kind of want to fade Baker's pass yards when the lights are bright, when he's on the road playing on that field where he struggled for a couple years. And I want to take his less than passing yards. Now, you probably don't love it, but I do think it's going to be a lot of Bucky Irving here, and I wouldn't be surprised if out of nowhere the Panthers get a big-time win outright in this game, or at least carry the over for you and keep it within a field goal. But I don't think it's going to be Baker through the air as much. Now, the Mike Evans angle scaring the fuck out of me. Not going to lie. Probably should have put that into consideration. But still looking like a pretty green chart to me. I'll take Baker's less than. I think they rely a ton on Bucky Irving this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be lying if I loved it, being that my meat on tape play is the over, but it can still be a lot of Bucky Irving too. I worry about the game script a little bit too. If the Bucs are trailing early, because I don't know. I've had this weird vision of a Baker pick six this week, which is scaring the fuck out of me. So maybe that happens early and we're kind of screwed after that, and he's going to be throwing the ball a shit ton. But again, I think it can be a lot of Bucky, a lot of Rashad even too. He'll probably be in the mix a little more this week, and you won't have to throw as much. So I won't tell you no.
Yeah, Baker hasn't thrown a pick this month. He's got a pick square up there. Prize picks. Interesting. All right. Can I at least get you with the Kirk square?
Yeah, he's going to have to throw
All
the
right.
ball. If there's going to be points and they're going to win in that game. Absolutely.
Agreed. Let's go to your squares. What are you cooking up over there?
Talked about the Texans. A simple one. It's probably my square read of the week. Nico Collins is going to have an absolute day. The last couple weeks, I can tell you as a fantasy owner, I've been kind of pissed because he's had 2 long touchdowns called back, 1 in each game. So realistically, he should have had incredible numbers, more incredible than he actually did have in both those games, which he ended up scoring last week, which was huge. Needed that pretty badly. But now, again, like Stroud's playing a lot of man coverage. All the teams that have figured him out really over the past couple weeks, they're playing nothing but zone coverage. The Jags, no matter what the matchup is, no matter what advantage they would have by it, no matter if they're playing Stroud or any other quarterback, they refuse to play anything other than man coverage 90% of the time. Nico Collins cooks man coverage at one of the highest rates in the league. So if Stroud's going to have a good day, which I think he does, the Texans offense is going to have a good day, which I think they will. Sure, Joe Mixon is going to get his against a bad run defense, but I think Nico Collins goes berserk. So give me him. He's going for 100, maybe 2 touchdowns. Then Chuba. This is my Panthers backing. Have you seen this square? You probably should put eyes on that.
I have now. Whoa.
Yeah.
And has he not eclipsed this number all season?
He's definitely got it at some point earlier in the season, but it's been a while.
Okay.
And the way you move the ball in the Bucs, because they play very soft, like zone coverage over the top. They try to keep a shell on everything. They play 10 yards off the line of scrimmage. You dink and you dunk. Who knows that better than Dave Canales, who went against that defense every single day in practice for a year, 2 years, really. But he knows the weaknesses of that defense. This is how you do it best. A lot of the teams recently have been attacking the Bucs in this way, especially lately. Even like the Tommy DeVito Giants did that with Tyrone Tracy and Devin Singletary for quite a bit when they were trailing at game script for that, I guess. But this is how you dink and dunk past them. And you got to use the blitz against the Bulls defense, especially when he brings it. And the thing that Bulls has not been doing very well, which is kind of one of the reasons why I can't stand his defense now lately. It's not just that they're giving up a shit ton of yards. He used to be a big time mastermind in disguising the blitz. Now he just doesn't hide it like at all, which is becoming very predictable for a lot of these teams. So if I'm Dave Canales in my revenge game, I know Bulls is going to bring the blitz. Everybody does. I know how you attack this defense, especially when you give me a lot of these looks that I can very easily pick out. What am I going to tell Bryce Young to do? Just dump the ball down, because running backs have been absolutely demolishing the Bucs. So like the square is weird. Absolutely. I think it's weird for a reason. Chuba is about to take a screen pass for 25 in the first quarter.
All right. He has eclipsed this number twice this season, but it's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while. Okay. You don't got to tell me twice to back my guy, Chuba. Come on. I'm in. Sign me up. He's him. Give him the fucking rock. I hope you guys drafted him in fantasy this year because he's been a league winner. Let's hope he's got one more week in him.
Good.
Come on. All right, gents. W Prize Big Squares, WNFL Weekend Preview. Any honorable mentions, Jovan, that you want to go over before we get to the squad rides?
Don't know if I've got too many honorable mentions in the NFL.
I don't either. I think the Commanders are a pretty good parlay piece, or a pretty good long teaser piece, if you're into that kind of thing.
I could agree.
I'd be pretty shocked if we lose this game. I know it's been ugly. I know you guys are going to laugh, but I'd be pretty shocked if we lose this game to the Titans. Not saying it's going to be pretty. Total's down, but the total's down. The spread's been moving towards the Commanders. That tells me with Marshawn Lattimore coming back, maybe the Commanders' defense carries them to a win. It's been a while. A while. We know it's in there.
You know who I'm once again making sure I have in all fantasy lineups this week?
Jeremy McNichols.
Crazy comment. Probably should be though. Could be a good flex. But I'm making sure AR is in my lineup again. Has to be done.
Okay.
I wasn't even I like the Colts in that game against the Lions, obviously, but like more so the week before, I was like, get AR in your lineup because I was all over rushing aspect in that game, rushing touchdown aspect.
Yep.
Probably getting something. And I think he's gonna have a big day against the Patriots. Hot take against the Patriots, but I'm starting him a lot.
Oh, AR or Kirk?
AR.
Wow. Rushing yards could be the difference. Okay.
Yeah, and TD.
Is it the Jen in chat saying left hand up? Best bet Commanders?
Wow.
Fuck
Left
yeah.
hand up.
You taking the 6? 5.5, 6? Jeesh. Good luck. I'm probably going to look to parlay them with something.
Hey,
Okay.
you know what needs to be talked about a little more? Could be a
Hmm.
W jinx for the Commanders for this week. Since he's come back healthy, Levis has kind of been him.
Yeah, he's been good.
Good.
I agree. Should I feel good about Calvin Ridley in my fantasy lineups this week?
Probably would.
Yeah, even with Marshawn coming back
Yeah.
in his
think it'll be
debut,
fine.
he's probably going to be
In his
learning on the
debut.
fly.
Is he going to
Mhm.
travel too? 'Cause I know Dan
Yeah,
Quinn.
I think he's going to play this week.
I know.
Oh, you're saying, is he going to travel?
Yeah, because I know Dan
I don't
Quinn's
think
defenses
so.
usually don't do that.
I don't think so. They don't. Yeah, no, they take their side of the field, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to travel. I don't think he's going to cover Calvin by himself, but we'll see. Especially in his first game back, I'd be shocked. He's going to be on snap count and everything. He's limited to practice this week, but at least he's playing. Good to know that a guy we traded for a month ago is finally playing. Let's fucking go. Clap it up. Nice.
Holy shit. Ridley's line is high as shit.
Good.
Fat.
Good. We got Mush in chat dropping subbies. What's up, Mushington? Hanukkah Harry coming earlier. How about it? Sure. Mush, thanks for the subs, bro. You're a beast. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a good holiday. Hope you're still, the extremely most chill guy of all time. You're literally that meme. Mush is actually that meme. I'm the fucking chill guy dog. Mush, hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good holiday, beast. Same with everybody else in chat. Okay. All right, let's get mobile here, Jovan. Enough talking about the NFL. Why don't we lock in? We've been on here for a minute. Why don't we go over our favorite plays for this weekend, for tonight, excuse me, because there's a lot of games starting up right now, and then we're going to get to the squad rides, and we're going to wrap this puppy up, okay?
Yep.
My favorite plays today, my sharp reports, I'd say this three-piece right here, George Mason ML, that starts up in about 30 minutes. Same with Santa Clara ML, that starts up pretty soon in CBB 2. And then Sam Houston State plus 2.5 on the gridiron. College football. Skywalker needs some help. Skywalker, bro, if you need help, you're getting it. Okay? He has to sit one. Chuba, Bucky, or Chase Brown. That's tough. You can't sit Chase Brown this week. I don't think.
You can't?
I don't think you can. He's projected like 18 points.
Against the Steelers, though, dude?
That's true. It is against the Steelers.
I guess that could be good for PPR purposes because he's probably going to have a tough time running. They're going to need to throw him the ball.
He's probably going to be that receiving machine again, like he's been for half the weeks. Right?
I'm having a tough time keeping Chuba or Bucky out of my lineups. Obviously, it's a little biased because I love the over in that game. And I think those are two of the main guys that can do it. But
I think Bucky this week, you got to have men. You got to have Bucky in no matter what. Chuba, I'm typically first team all Chuba #1 fan. You know that. I love your confidence in Chuba this week. And I do think they're going to give him the rock. And I like that nasty ass receiving square. Don't get me wrong, Jovan. And I like the over with you. And I like the Panthers. And if the Panthers cover win that game, Chuba's got to do something. So I don't know what I'm sitting here bitching about. But for some reason, I do feel like Chase Brown's a pretty good look. And he's got a really high projection. Maybe it's receiving wise, right? I probably personally would bench. I'd probably bench Chuba. As crazy as that is. Jovan, you'd probably bench Chase Brown, huh? Against the Steelers.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's kind of tough because obviously you're asking the guy who's on points for two of the teams and not the other.
Yep. I'm with you. I think you're in a pretty good spot, though. Like, if you have those three guys, you're choosing between them, it's definitely a good thing that you got that problem.
I don't know if you can lose, really.
Definitely a good thing. All right. Awesome. W's, Kelsey's mucking. Sure. Good. Thank you for the updates, chat. Let me know. And we're going to go ahead and move and groove onto the squad ride once Jovan goes over his favorite plays for tonight. You want to go over your sharp report again?
Yeah. So, sharp report for me. Texas Tech team total over on the hard court. San Jose State ML, it's starting up here shortly. And Av Stars over. Honorable mention, because I guess we didn't go through the ice. I also like Utah tonight up against the Oilers.
Okay. Late night hockey game.
Yeah.
Sure.
Latest.
Damn, looks like Sam Houston's starting up here in about 2 minutes. I got to lock that shit in.
Got to get active.
Yeah, I got to lock that shit in. Chat, do not let Sam Houston get swept. Okay, that's starting up right now. Obviously, a little bit too of an early start for any squad ride purposes, but make sure you get that play locked in. Okay? You will not see it on my picket. It involves a Virginia school, which I cannot bet on the legal books. Use your brains. All right? Let's go ahead and get to the squad ride poll. Gucci, run that shit. I want to see that damn train. All right, gents. Look, the squad rides, let's finish this month out profitable. Okay, I still believe we're over 500 right now, but it's close. Yep, 10-9 this month. Let's go ahead and get our 11th win. Let's notch it here, and let's get sharp. Okay, chat, drop your favorite play you got right now. Jovan, what's the first play you want to put in this thing, my man?
Might have to be Texas Tech team total.
Texas Tech team total. Can I get a number check?
88.5.
Okay. Chad, I did just lock in Sam Houston, by the way. Buzzer beater. Good. Forgot that one was kind of early. All right, Jovan, let's put that team total in here and give me that number again one more time.
88.5.
Awesome. Texas Tech team total. That looks weird. Texas TTTT.
Yeah.
All right. Hell yeah. What else, chat? What else are we in love with for today? San Jose State starts up in 30. We probably got to keep that out, which sucks because I was honestly getting to the point where I want to put it in.
Yeah.
That could be unofficial squad ride.
Unofficial, of course.
Okay. See, we're in a little bit of a predicament here because I got some early CBB games.
Yeah, you do have some early CBB.
What time is the Santa Clara game at? And also, we should have taken Merrimack today. What are we doing? They're about to beat Troy outright. Fuck.
The way I missed that.
Yeah, we let that one get swept.
Swept.
Santa Clara is in an hour. It's up to you. It's my favorite play. And we don't have many options left that are much later, so I wouldn't mind putting that in here.
These late night games, I don't see all too much that we talked about.
We might have to put that in here and just hope that people are tapped.
Yeah, in for that.
Let's put them in here. Santa Clara ML. It's my favorite play today. Let's give out winners. Let's worry less about the time. We got Texas Tech team total. We got Santa Clara ML. Do we have one more winner in us for tonight? We've got your play on the ice.
Yeah, could go to the ice. Avstars over.
Yeah. I'm in. Avstars over 6.5. You want to run those three?
Yeah.
I'm kind of down for that. Quality over quantity.
Down.
Good. ST3 in chat. You can see the Sharp Report plays going across the bottom ticker right now. Also, we'll always tweet those out right after the show here in a minute, okay? Richie Parlay says he's giving Krabby a shot with Santa Clara. All right. Let's see if anybody else is giving Krabby a shot with Santa Clara's. 3 plays, 3 winners today, chat. Happy Friday. Hope you guys have had a great Thanksgiving week. Hope you guys are chilling out, relaxing, spending time with the fam, and most importantly, hitting some bets. Okay? 3 plays, 3 winners. Texas Tech team total over 88.5. Santa Clara ML. Those are 2 college basketball plays. And then the Avs Stars over 6.5. Okay? 3 plays, 3 winners. Get involved. Click the right button, please. Change a life. Okay? And we can all meet up at the cash counter later. Click the right button, please. Don't just click the sport you want to bet. Don't just click the one that has the right time of when you're going to be chilling around to watch the game. Click the winner. Click the best sell job you heard today, please. Please. Okay, lock in. Click the right button. 3 plays, 3 winners. Texas Tech team total over. Santa Clara ML. 2 CBB plays there. And then the Avs and Stars over on the ice. Okay? 3 plays, 3 winners. Again, Mush, thanks for the subbies. Not the Major Matt, Pax Picks. You guys are awesome. D. Decker, B. Tavares, Captain Slim, Easy Puck. You guys are goated. We had hype trains rolling today during the holidays when we didn't even expect much. So appreciate you guys coming in here, asking questions in the chat, hanging out, dropping subbies left and right. You guys are good. Okay, we do it all for you. We do it all for Lemba. People forget. Yeah, Richie said, I'm giving Santa Clara a shot, and I certainly don't want to watch it. Yeah, but he's still giving it a shot. I respect it. And look at the Broncos getting some respect. Look at Chat giving Krabby some respect here. Santa Clara ML.
Showing a little
Ran
bit of
away with
heart.
it. Wow. W Friday BTL. W Billy the Kid. We appreciate you, man. You're always in here. Nice and early. Holding it down. Okay. Chat, 3 plays, 3 winners. Hurry up. Go, go, go. You're about to run out of time. Texas Tech, Santa Clara, and the Av Stars over. 3 plays, 3 winners. Get involved. It's going to be the Broncos on the hardwood, it looks like, and I got no qualms with that. No qualms with that. Okay. We got Sam Houston starting up right now on the gridiron as well. If you guys want to get involved on that play, we both got some early starts. Okay. So make sure you check out the Sharp Report graphic that goes out on the BTL X right after this. Drop a like. Make sure you lock those puppies in. And we'll catch you guys at the cash counter when Santa Clara, the Broncos, come through tonight on the ML and they respect our coins. Okay. W's. Jovan, great show as always. Hope you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys soon. We'll craft up some weekend geysers for you. Make sure you guys stay tapped into the X for BTL if you want the winners for the weekends. Okay. Dubs. We'll catch you guys same time, same place on Monday.